Welcome, everybody, to episode 221 of The China Show.
You know how we always shout out the area codes? 221? Apparently there is no 221 area code in the U.S.
Yeah, well.
Shout out to Senegal, the country code.
Country code, yeah.
Today we're talking about a lot of crazy things.
Let's get one thing out of the way.
Okay.
A lot of people have been asking me, did Xi Jinping have a stroke?
Oh, let me read this super chat. From Chris. Guys, did Xi Jinping really have a stroke?
Unsubstantiated rumors. Again, whenever there's an important government meeting in China, there tend to be these weird rumors going around. I don't think he had a stroke.
No.
There's no proof he had a stroke. The only people saying he had a stroke are people that usually sensationalize things, so I wouldn't put anything behind it.
There's a little proof that he didn't, like showing up and looking completely normal. So
Yes.
maybe as like a magical miracle doctor.
Yes, maybe he just had a stroke of bad luck. Or,
You understand, like, there's CCP propaganda, which is nonsense, which we try to counter.
Yes.
There's also stuff on the other side, which is just absolute nonsense as well.
Absolutely.
We are not that. We are straight down the middle.
So, as far as we're concerned, no, he didn't have a stroke. It's unsubstantiated rumors. So, thanks for asking. Let's move on.
Yes.
Okay, so we got a lot to cover in the show today. I'm sure everybody is curious about the thumbnail.
Yes.
So, here's the thing. We decided, how about you, in the live chat, put down what animal you think is in that horrid-looking soup.
Do we have any animal sound bites that can tease it?
No, nothing along those lines. We have a frog.
Okay. Probably not a frog.
It's not a frog. But guys, yeah, we could tell you it's not a frog. But
Yes.
please, go ahead.
That's your hint.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the chat, what do you think is in that giant vat
Yes.
of disgusting broth?
Because we're going to tell you, and we're going to explain exactly what that's
It's actually
all
not
about.
soup.
Yeah, it's not. You might be also curious as to what's going on in the background here. Well, as we all know, China's been once again, this is a yearly occurrence, has been dealing with devastating floods. And I got to say, I don't know about you, but I feel like it gets worse every year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could have climate change as part of it. You could also have poor response. You could have crumbling infrastructure, even though it's new.
Honestly, I think they never repair the damage by the
Yes.
time the next floods come.
Yeah, it's not enough time to be
Yeah,
honest.
and on top of that, the drainage systems are never
Correct.
built correctly. They're never improved.
Yeah.
So it doesn't drain. So every time there's floods, it just gets worse.
Yes.
Anyway, as a big part of the flood effort in China, what they like to do is make propaganda to show everybody that they're doing everything to help. And we've constantly shown you fakery surrounding this, right? Like we've shown you where they have like a fire hydrant and they spray water over the people pretending to put up sandbags and pretending to help. We've shown you this many times. But we thought that we'd show you something now by jumping into what's new, where we talk about everything that's new with regards to China. And what you're seeing behind us is one of these situations where they're helping people in need in the floods. Let's take a look, shall we? These brave rescue workers. So, before we even continue to play, you have to pay attention. In the background, you can see two cameramen standing there. There are more and multiple angles, and obviously whoever's filming this as well. But you have multiple camera people taking video and photos of this heroic effort of these rescue workers helping these poor women who are stranded in the flood. There's only one problem. It's about this deep.
I love the dude
He just
walking
walks
by
past.
just casually.
Yes.
I love how he screws up the shot.
Yeah, completely. They're probably like, oh, well, we'll have to film that again. It's actually harder for them to drag this raft across the
Because
ground.
it's so shallow.
Yeah, it's grounded. It's on the ground. That's the thing. It's not floating. They're just dragging it on the ground. Let's play that again for you guys one more time so you can see.
I cropped it so you can see. Wow, look at how dramatic this is.
Yes,
Oh.
rescue workers.
Oh.
Yes, oh. It's like they're inching it along on the ground. It's ridiculous. Anyway, this is actually what happens. Have you heard about the Chinese police catch and release program?
No.
Okay, well, maybe you're going to see it in action here.
Okay.
So-
Interesting government policy.
Yeah,
see.
yeah, exactly. So what we have here is there's obviously a lot of flooding, as we know.
Like an old man there.
So what you got here is you've got a struggling old man who's obviously, with great effort, been swept away by the river. He has tied a floating jug to himself, which is actually a very good idea.
Yeah, very.
It can help him. And he's finally managed to grab onto the edge here. He's been floating down the river. He obviously got swept off a bridge or out of his home or whatever. So you've got two brave Chinese police officers here who are going to help the guy out.
Let's check these government employees.
Yeah, let's see.
One cop's got red underwear on for luck.
Yeah, they do that on the birth year usually. For the whole year, you got to wear red underwear. Oh, whoops.
Can you pause it for a second?
Sure.
It's a really great effort.
Amazing
Man,
effort.
did you see them? They were really, I mean, when they bent down like that, you could really tell they used all of their energy and
They
strength.
literally went, see ya. What the hell? It's the most...
What did I just watch?
Off he goes.
I mean, that's sad.
It's
because, and I
horrible.
hope that guy, thankfully he has that flotation device.
Yes.
Otherwise we wouldn't even show this.
No. And look, the water is horrible. It's raging all the way down there, but it's fairly slow moving. I think he'll be okay. But it just shows, like, that's the real rescue efforts. Look, there he goes. Like I'm
At
saying,
least he's still buoyant, which is
he's
good.
buoyant,
Yeah.
and yeah,
You
just
might be able to
hoping-
grab onto that wall, but the cops
Yeah.
are. Can you pause it on the cops where they're helping him? They didn't do anything.
No, they actually. I told you, catch and release.
It's the catch and release program.
I'll tell you what, this the absolute service from the Chinese police service, it really will. It'll leave you swept away.
You'll
You know
be
what I mean?
swept
You'll be
away.
swept away by their service.
You know, this. Let me do a dialogue here.
Okay, go for it.
Help! 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 All right, how much you gonna give us if we help you? I don't have any money on me right now. What do you mean you got no money? I don't have anything. I'm stuck here in the flood. I'm gonna die. Help me! Get me out of the water. He's got no money. He's got nothing.
Oh well. He's
Maybe
like, thanks
it's
for
something
nothing,
like
guys.
that. There was no effort. I
It's-
would be like, yank it.
Yeah,
know
you
what I
wouldn't
mean?
let go. You'd
No,
like, but they're just.
I was trained as a lifeguard. You pull people as hard as you can.
Yeah. But I'll tell you when they are effective. These Chinese police rescues.
If the government cameras are on them.
That, and under other circumstances, like you'll see here in a second. Oh no, the water's not moving at all. And there we have a Chinese flag, which I'm quite sure they planted in there in the first place. It's a bit too convenient, right?
Yeah, a little inconvenient.
So then they're like, well, we'll rescue the flag. We won't rescue the people, by the way. No, they'll...
outlandish.
Yeah, the people, we'll just we'll send them back down the river where they came from, you know? But the flag, yes, we can't let
It
that...
shows you the priority in the government as well. Like, this is obviously a propaganda video
Yes.
that we've just shown. This is definitely not organic.
Yes.
There is no nationalism in these people's hearts when they're going to do this, right?
No,
They're doing like a little stunt to put on. This is on state media, by the way.
absolutely.
The thing is cropped on the top, but it was on state media. It's to share around, be like, well, you know, the cops are willing to put their life in danger to go in floodwaters to
Yeah.
rescue our nation's pride.
Yes.
You know, the 5-star red flag.
Not the people, though.
Not the
They won't go in the water. They'll, like,
Well-
reach down. Oh, you had a good grip there? Let's take a look at your grip. Bye.
I wonder what's worse. We'll play the next clip.
Okay,
I want to
sure.
actually postulate this question.
Okay. And then look at them. Oh, they fold.
What, this is...
It's like a side-by-side comparison. Somewhere in the distance, I hear the Chinese national anthem.
Yeah. Well, that flag, it makes sense. Yeah.
Bye.
Gee,
Goodbye. Sorry.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I really hope that guy was okay.
Me too. Yeah.
Seriously, though.
All thoughts and prayers towards the poor guy. Constantly going down. He's probably still down the
rolling.
river.
At least he's
cursing.
buoyant.
He's cursing the police as he goes. Those pieces of shit.
Freaking cops.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yep. What?
I want to ask.
Yeah.
Would it have been just worse if they just stood there and watched him go by? Or would it be better? Was it worse for them to like pull on his pinky and be like, see ya? You know,
Yeah,
whatever they did?
I think they dislodged him, to be honest.
Yeah.
He probably would have been able to hold on and maybe even pull himself out if they hadn't interfered. I think what's even more disturbing is how they just stand there and watch him. You know,
Yeah.
if they actually had
Like
any
slowly.
concern,
They're not radioing in.
Dude,
they have radios.
they would be running along the river
Yeah.
next to him at least.
Yeah.
But oh no, you know, trying to figure it out, they'd be frantic.
Keep a
but they
beat on
don't care. Look at the body language. They just don't care.
No.
Yeah, it's tragic and it's horrible and it shows you the Chinese government doesn't care. So anyway,
He's probably in India by now.
probably, yeah. What's that river they keep cutting off from like Vietnam or whatever?
The Mekong.
Yeah,
He's in the
maybe
Mekong.
he's in Vietnam where they'll actually rescue him.
They'll actually rescue
They'll
him.
be like, dude, you need help.
Yeah, they'll have a pole or something, you know?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a bunch of those motorcycles will pull over and they'll step through
Yeah.
shooters and they'll have the pole.
Yeah, they'll help him out. They'll
He's
send,
fine
you
now.
know, those like the women that go sell like fruit and stuff
Yeah.
on the boats. They'll go get him,
Yeah, that's true. And then he'll have to learn Vietnamese, but he'll be better taken care of.
and he'll actually want to stay there.
Yes.
Anyway, we did this thing a while ago, the anatomy of a Lao Ban.
Yeah, let's run through this. A
Okay.
Lao Ban is a
Boss.
boss. I mean, Lao Ban means boss. And you know what's so funny?
Yeah.
It's so funny. And this is, you guys are gonna have to be nuanced fans to understand this, or at least understand China. But there's, you know how people get like Chinese tattoos because they think they look cool, and this is no hate to anyone that has that stuff.
Sure.
But there was people that were making like, you know, like boss girl or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like in English. I guess some people were making shirts that said like Lao Ban, like, but it was like instead of like boss girl, it's like Lao Ban. But it's not the same connotation.
No.
In Chinese, like it's not cool to be a Lao Ban. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Like being a boss is this, right? You're like a pudgy middle-aged dude with Mao hair. You always stand like this, which I've adopted, by the way.
Okay.
I think I saw it for too long.
I've always wondered about that posture, and why it's so.
I do it now. I'm
Yeah.
not joking.
I honestly think it's a sign of subservience.
You think so?
I think it's in my mind, and I could be wildly wrong, but if you think about the structure of how the Chinese government, and I'm talking eons before with the emperors
Yeah.
and all that, anyone who seems aggressive or non-passive is a target. So if you have your hands behind you, in a way, it's showing that you're not going to do anything. You're just going to
maybe,
stand there, and you don't want to be messed with. You're
But
not,
Lao Bans are the powerful people.
I get it, but
Yeah.
I just thought because you see, it's not just Lao Bans.
It's usually Lao Ban.
It's usually old men
Yeah.
and women walk around like that.
That's true. Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
That's just I could be completely wrong.
Oh, it's a military pose, apparently. That could be a thing, too. You know, like when you're
Not
like...
when they do it. Yeah, no, it's not that kind.
No,
Because
it's
when the
not.
military pose, it's all like very
Yeah,
stiff and
this
very.
is like-
No, this is the most lazy way you
Yes.
could do it. It's
that's why I
it
think
is
I
the
do it.
most lazy
Yeah.
way to stand.
This
in
is
a
how I
way.
stand now. I
Yeah.
have adopted it. They have
Yeah.
cigarettes in their pocket, which
Yes.
can be relevant. They have their belly sticking out, tucked in shirt, dangling keys. From
Always
the belt.
dangling
Always.
keys. Yeah.
You have what is it? Short sleeve. It's a short sleeve polo shirt, and it's usually like a shiny type
Yes,
material, like
yeah.
a cheap, really
Lao Ban
cheap.
shirt. Yes.
No
yeah.
pun intended. Cheap.
Cheapy long. Yeah.
A Lao Ban shirt. You got a high belt, so the pants are always really jacked up.
Yes.
I think there was a blog about how high Chinese leaders'
Yes.
pants go at
Yeah.
some point. Poorly fitted pants and then dress sneakers, which are a little cut off there. But
Yeah.
this is the Lao Ban. This is the boss, and this is someone that's usually in the government. And when people are dressed like this, not in the government, they want to be in the government.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
Yes. So that shirt that you see is usually of a brand, of one of many brands, but one will be like Peak or something. One will be Chipi Lang, which
Yeah,
is
Sept
like
wolves.
Sept wolves. That means 7 wolves. Chipi Lang.
I just never understood sept.
Sept is 7.
Oh, is it like that? I
Yeah.
thought it was like September wolves, and they cut it down.
And the gold September wolves.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, okay, now I get it. Like
Anyway.
that, wolves, septic wolves. You know what I'm saying?
Who knows?
Oh,
Anyway, I saw the funniest thing about
Okay.
this, by the way. So you have to understand this Lao Ban shirt, it could be this brand, it could be one of many brands, but there's very specific, like, very muted colored stripes on them, like
Yeah.
like a teal and a
Yes.
and a blue and like a black or a gray, and they kind of fade into each other. They're very not period to any.
they look
period.
like any shirt that's been washed and hung out in the sun to
Yeah.
dry like 100 times.
but new.
Yes,
That's how
yes,
they look
exactly.
like new. And you'll get them, and they'll be like, $1 or $2.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you'll get like higher end brands, which these Lao Bans will get tricked into buying at the airport for like hundreds of dollars.
Sure.
And they look exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
Anyway, weirdly enough, this brand also makes cigarettes, right?
Yeah.
And I always thought, when I'm a former smoker,
Yes.
I thought these were truly horrific. But I also very much part of the Lao Ban aesthetic.
Yes.
And it was so funny. I was watching YouTube the other day, and I watch a lot of like geography type channels. And there's like, I don't know this channel. It just came up on my feed.
Mm-hmm.
But this channel is called like Wow Mao or something. and they had like geography type videos, it looked like, and then they had this one which was a cigarette tier list, which I thought was the most outlandish idea.
Okay.
And one of them was Chipilang, which is so specific to China. It's not even funny. Like, you won't find this.
So they basically got their hands on a pack of these.
Apparently,
what you can see.
From a back of a Chinese restaurant in Birmingham in England.
You know why? Because they smuggle in the cigarettes.
They do.
And I remember even in South Africa, my Taiwanese friends, like one of the scummy uncles was doing that. He was getting Chipilang and he was getting Shuangxi and he was getting all of those cheaper Chinese cigarettes. Because, in the West, cigarettes are taxed crazily. So that's why you have to pay whatever it is, like £30 for a cigarette box or whatever it is in England. But it's always very expensive. But they get this stuff for a couple of cents, basically, and they bring it over and they get like...
Well, because these Chipilangs in China are less than $1.
Yeah, so what they'll do is if like students are going or visiting family or something, they pay them some money to bring back cartons in their bags. And they find all these like gray market ways of bringing it in.
Yeah.
And then they sell it in the Chinese restaurants and they sell it in the Chinese businesses, right? And that's why you can find these kind of things in Chinese restaurants.
Yeah, but Topia said probably fake cigarettes. No, and that's where you're wrong, because they don't need to be fake.
In China, the government subsidizes tobacco, and so you even get these like farmer cigarettes, basically. Remember,
these are not subsidized, but you get those.
Dude, remember we had a friend who came with us who's a smoker. And we went out on this bender one night, right? And he went to the hotel because he was tired. So we decided we'd play a trick on him. We went into the local supermarket and we bought the cheapest cigarettes. They were like 2 RMB. Those
are subsidized cigarettes.
Yeah. What is 2 RMB in?
It's like cents.
Like
20 cents.
It's like 20 cents for a pack of 30s, right? And
pack of 20, yeah.
It was a pack of 20s? Yeah, okay. Always. Oh, well, I don't know why I think 30s. There must be packs of 30s somewhere.
Not in China or in America.
Okay, all right. Anyway, so back at 20s. So this thing looked all like fancy. Had like a golden dragon. It's like Hong Jing Long, remember?
Yeah, it was
like red gold dragon. Looked all fancy, but it costs like 30 cents.
This shit was sawdust.
Yeah, so we...
I smelled it.
Yeah, when he woke up in the morning, we were like, oh, we met these rich guys and last night and they took us out and they gave us like the most premium brand of cigarettes. And so we were like, we didn't smoke, so we gave it to him. And he was trying to smoke it, but he could see he was struggling.
Trying to be polite.
He was struggling, but he's like, oh, yeah, it's pretty good. Then we were like, yeah, dude, those are 2 RMB. And he threw them away. He was like, these are just disgusting.
They were unsmokable.
And that's true. Yeah. You do get, because the tobacco industry in China, that's why it's subsidized. Everybody smokes. A huge percentage of the population of males smoke.
More than half.
Yeah, more than half. And in a certain generation, I'd say at least like 80 to 90%.
Oh, yeah. If you want to break this down demographically, like most older men.
Yeah, so people that are in their 50s and above, I'd say right now, pretty much all smoke in China.
Yes.
So anyway... This is one of the favorite brands that you see everywhere.
This is not subsidized. These are your like cheaper, non-subsidized.
It's kind of like what, Benson and Hedges?
No, it's way worse.
It's worse than that. What would you?
Benson and Hedges is good.
What is that car? What that like wagon wheel or something? I think in South Africa we got a thing called wagon wheel, which is like that's the scum cigarette for only scum people. So what would be an American scum cigarette?
Here, probably Winston.
Okay, yes, exactly. Taste America, light of Winston. That's what the ad used to be.
Just
please,
by the way,
don't set me on fire.
Way worse than Winston, though.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just
anyway. So you say this podcast, they got a hold of
this channel. They got a hold of a pack in a Birmingham Chinese restaurant.
Okay, I'd like to see their response.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
A slight dung taste, maybe. Excrement taste.
Oh no!
Like
I see what you mean.
In the aftertaste.
Oh no! This is shit.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of build up.
No, because we talked about cigarette culture.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
I want to say in the beginning of the cigarette tier list that they did, which was wildly funny. Yeah. They started with Zhonghua, which is China's like best cigarette, other than like Panda Limited. Yeah. Stuff. Yeah. Zhonghua, and they loved it. Zhonghuas are fantastic, by the way. And I don't smoke, by it. Smoking is horrible and disgusting. Sure. But if you're going to smoke Chinese cigarettes, Zhonghua is the way to go. Yeah. They're great.
Gotcha.
You got to look out for fakes.
Oh, big time.
Lots
of fakes.
Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about a different kind of smoking, which is a more tragic kind of smoking, and that's when an entire shopping mall catches on fire in China.
Yes. Now, YouTube, can you chill the F out? Mm-hmm. We're not going to show bodies. We're not going to show anything like this. But
not going to show anyone in distress.
No, but we're going to show you the fire because it was wild. A whole mall complex in Zigong, Sichuan, caught on fire, and this made my heart pound. I'll tell you why, because I have friends in Zigong.
Yes.
So I had to reach out. Thankfully, they weren't in the mall. I mean, the chances of them being in the mall at that time are quite low in a city with over 1 million people. But still, it's worrying to see this kind of thing.
Yeah, I know. There's quite the lantern festival from that area as well, right?
Yes. That's right.
Anyway. Yeah, this is it's ridiculous. You know, these kind of tragedies, they happen all over, but they do happen in China very often because of very relaxed safety standards and lack of firefighting equipment and training of firefighters.
Yeah.
We've covered this before with the fake fire hydrants and things like that. But I mean, look at that entire building engulfed in smoke. Now, there's a thing that you've been probably seeing a lot lately, and that is, all these foreigners going and doing propaganda, travel propaganda in China. Look at these malls. Look at how amazing everything is. That's because everything's built fast. It's built flashy. It's built quickly, but it's not built safely.
No.
And they don't show this kind of thing. I'm pretty sure if we had a mall catch on fire somewhere in the UK or in the United States or anything, it would be quite the big international news, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. It's been a weird spate of disasters in China recently.
Yes. In the similar type area, what's this?
Well,
Want to talk about this?
Yeah, you mean a smaller kind of backwoods area?
Yep.
This is in Zigong in Hubei.
Yeah, it starts with a Z.
Yes.
Z.
So the wild thing about this is it looks like you're looking at some fields terraced on a mountain, as they do in Hubei.
You know what I like is, the little X road that's going up there?
Yeah.
Which is basically the...
Love this.
X road means rural road.
Yes.
Okay? And it stands for what? Xia road. So basically like rural countryside road. These little concrete things that farmers basically build, I guess, or the local government.
A lot of like concrete slabs.
Yeah. And they're awesome to ride motorcycles on.
They are.
And you can see how nice it winds up, that mountain. But I'll tell you what.
It winds down pretty quick too.
Yeah.
Watch the side of a mountain disappear. It's absolutely wild. And I'll tell you why it's even more wild than you're anticipating in a second. I'll show you on that.
I wouldn't want to be on that.
Look at this. The whole thing moves down. The whole mountain.
Yeah, the whole side of the mountain just disappears already.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
It just disappears.
Yeah.
So you know what's crazy about this?
What?
I want to show you where this is on the map. And you
Okay.
guys, even if you're not into geography, this is going to be very important to you.
Yeah, this is in the
promise.
Zigong, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to zoom in here.
Mm-hmm.
I want you guys to see.
Enhance.
Enhance. Let's enhance this image.
See the reflection in the eye.
Yes. We can
You
pinpoint
move over to the
location.
left. Enhance.
You see this?
Enhance.
I want you to pause that right there real quick. What is that? Do you see that line in the river there?
That's not...
By the way, I just zoomed into Zigong where this happened, right?
Yeah, so it's somewhere in this little area here.
Yes. Do you see that line there?
Is that the Three Gorges Dam?
That is the Three Gorges Dam.
It's not gorgeous, by the way.
No, but it
The
is
Three
Three
Go-
Gorges Dam.
Yeah, the Three Gorges.
Zigong County is a county in western Hubei Province, People's Republic of China. It is under the administration of the prefecture-level city of Yiqiang and encompasses the easternmost portion of the Yangtze River gorges, including Shilang Gorge. Why don't you zoom in there a little bit more, or at least move around a little bit? Yeah, that is the Three Gorges Dam.
Is that the actual Three Gorges Dam, or is it a precursor dam?
That is the actual Three Gorges Dam.
That's
on
the
the
Three
left
Gorges
there.
Dam?
See that?
Oh, it says Three Gorges
Yeah.
Dam. It actually is the Three Gorges Dam.
Yeah, that's where that just
Oh,
happened.
and you know what? I see the Three Gorges scenic spot where we've had a bunch of shills go and take propaganda pictures last time there was a flood thing, remember?
Yeah, and they said it was totally fine.
Yeah, they're like, oh, look how amazing this is. What a pity they weren't standing on that. Never mind.
Don't say
I didn't.
that. It's a joke.
I didn't say it.
You were
I didn't
joking
say
anyway.
it. Pity they weren't standing nearby to get better footage.
to get better footage.
Yes.
Then they have to put it out and tell the truth.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we meant.
That's
for
exactly.
sure.
That's exactly what I meant. Yeah.
Put a pork in.
Yeah, certainly will. Okay. Anyway, look, that's terrifying, by the way. For anyone who knows about the Three Gorges Dam, it is China's biggest, what would you even call it? Like
It's the biggest dam
project.
in the world.
Yeah, it's their biggest pride.
Yeah.
The Chinese government. And in order to do it, they destroyed so much nature and so many people's lives because so many villages and towns and things were flooded because of this.
1.3 million people were literally displaced
Yes.
immediately after during construction of this. It put entire ancient villages and towns and cities underwater. millions of people worth, right?
Yeah.
But I'll do you one even better. This horrible thing that could possibly happen if this kind of stuff keeps happening, these floods and these cracks and all this stuff that you hear about with the Three Gorges Dam all the time.
Yeah.
And again, I'm a big skeptic on the whole like, oh, it's gonna collapse.
No, yeah.
But if it did, and if this kind of perpetual rainfall and perpetual landslides keeps affecting the integrity of this area,
Yeah.
300. Let me pull up the stat. Over 300 million, almost 400 million people live in the watershed of the Three Gorges Dam. 400 million people, the population of the United States of America, the whole country.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a quarter of the population of China,
Yeah.
right? Is affected by this. If this were to go,
Yeah.
it'd be unbelievable devastation.
Yeah. You know, absolutely. Ecological collapse and devastation.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. There are a lot of people, and like you say, China hawks and so on, who keep going on about, hey, the Three Gorges Dam, it's going to collapse, it's going to cause all this. I'm of the opinion that it's such an important thing for the Chinese government that they will ensure that no matter what, they will spend every last cent of the government's money to ensure that it doesn't collapse.
I agree.
So they're constantly keeping it going up. Even if they have to go put Band-Aids on it, they'll do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
So
I'm of the same opinion.
I don't think it'll collapse, but at the same time, seeing these landslides so close to it is very concerning, and seeing the huge amount of floods that China has every year, it might actually just barrel out of their control.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you can't control the weather, even though China tries with all its cloud seeding and stuff. You cannot actually control the weather.
Well, Mao, a lot of current China policy, people don't understand this, but current China policy is because of Chairman Mao's kind of ideology.
Yeah.
Because remember, the whole crux of how China was built and their current political situation was Mao's writings, right?
Yeah.
And Mao was obsessed with controlling nature. He hated nature so much, and that's partially why China is very ugly now.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of the beauty has been industrialized and also just destroyed on purpose, so that a road or a bridge or a dam, he was obsessed with dams and bridges.
Yeah.
These things were built haphazardly everywhere just to control nature. He was so obsessed with it. His favorite adage was, this villager has to walk around a mountain. It takes him hours, right, every day. But he spends the rest of his life destroying the mountain so that he can have a direct path to where he needs to go. Even though it took him his whole life, it was worth it.
Sure.
To Mao.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which is crazy to think about, but that's a lot of how China operates. And I think it's for people that want to understand China, you have to look kind of at how China's constitution, all this stuff was written.
Yeah.
And it's under his kind of guidance, and it's really bad ideas.
Maybe just move closer to wherever you're walking to every day. Just build a house there.
But no.
No. Anyway, let's move on from this. It's we'll keep an eye on this. But what is this word salad that you've got going on in the background?
I think I found the worst song of all time.
Okay.
But the reason I want to point out, do you remember the Three Gorges Dam? Gorges Dam, the two sessions.
So it's got a number, 5-year plan,
5-year plan.
gang of 4.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Anyway, where is it? This one.
You know how he just like says random shit the whole time?
Yeah.
It's just like weekend car ride around the pool and satisfied Popeye and necrophilysis or whatever.
Yes, exactly.
I thought it was funny because I came across this absolutely horrible Hong Kong song from '97. It's like this techno song.
Okay.
Very famous. Because I'll tell you why. There's a meme in China right now. Well, it's actually been for the past year. People say "Wa Mei K," and I was like wondering why. And they do this dumb dance, and they say "Wa Mei K," and I was like, "What is that?" I couldn't figure out where it was from, and no one could explain it properly. And I'm looking it up, and it turns out it's from the background of this song, which was very popular. This Cantonese song was popular in China, but there's an English rap part of it. Good. Which I thought was hilarious.
So let's take a look at it, okay? I'll get us out of here. What does it say? Are we going to read this out or what?
You'll be able to understand it's in English.
All right. What are you talking about? Like, no one's going to understand that. That's going too fast to even read. Never mind.
All right, let's read it. Let's read the lyrics.
We'll okay. We got to read these lyrics. Okay, so hang on. Let's say, gonna make my point. Put your face to the real.
What does that mean?
Not walking like a wheel.
What?
Yeah, not walking like a wheel.
What? Not let the time like a wheel?
No, not let the time to kill my freedom.
Oh, okay. Do wheels walk?
No. No. I want to make it. For real. Can't peel off.
What is PEAL?
That's the wrong kind of peel. That's like a bell, the peel of a bell, rather than peel, like, peel your... Because can't peel off, like when you peel a orange or something, right?
Yes.
Can't peel off my words, my style. Cooler than chill, nothing to see. With my skills still, I want to make a deal.
I thought that was kind of like anthropological in nature. Like we can kind of see where this word salad came, because this is 30 years old now.
Sure.
And looking back that far, like they were just making word salad wraps in Hong Kong. Maybe that inspired these new...
That's probably what inspired the Chinese manners
that's what
guy.
I thought.
2 sessions wrap, yeah. Okay, so we're still on the whole mall safety problem in China, because we had another mall where the ceiling collapsed on everyone. Oh. Yeah. Now, according to the official report that it says there, no one died, but 6 people were severely injured and carried away. And I feel like if the mall ceiling, again, you can take a look at this, guys, and there's a reason why we're showing you this, and the reason is, look at how fancy that mall is. Okay? Look, it's fancy. Look at the neon lights. Look at all the nice decor. I'm not trying to be facetious here. I'm being serious. If you look at the way it's set up to look modern and nice and clean, and that would make a fantastic propaganda video to walk through before the ceiling collapses on you. See what I'm getting here? It doesn't matter how flashy and nice it looks, okay? If it's going to fall on your head, it doesn't matter, right?
This is the kind of stuff that you don't get a feeling of unless you see it happen in China, because you wouldn't know this is going to collapse on your head.
And then you suddenly, like, all of your illusions about this advanced, amazing... China's not advanced, and this is something I keep trying to tell people. China cannot even get basic safety standards right.
No.
China cannot get basic food safety standards right. China cannot
the world leader.
Yeah, China cannot get the basics of basic things right. Firefighting equipment, training for firefighters, actual like fire hoses that are not fake, and fire hydrants that are fake. China cannot get the basics right. So if they can't get the basic safety standards when it comes to construction and stuff right, why are people saying that they're advanced?
Why are they contracting Chinese government companies to build their stuff in their own country?
Yeah.
That's wild to me.
But it's every single time you turn on social media or the news, you see something about, look at China's AI, robotics, their chips and all this.
3,000 years ahead.
All this nonsense that you see. And it's only ever accompanied by like LEDs on buildings at night.
Yeah.
Anyone can do that, okay? I can go to my house now and put up a bunch of LEDs, wait for nighttime, and get a really nice night drone shot going over my house in the middle of rural Pennsylvania, and, put some lights in the trees and stuff and say, like, super futuristic farm invents AI technology.
You
know what I'm saying?
It would be better than what we see.
You know what? It's easy to do. But if it's just garbage like this that falls apart and it's just flashy on the outside but rotten on the inside, there's no point. So just remember, when people try to tell you China's advanced, ask them why all the very basic things like food safety aren't taken care of.
Why can't you drink the water?
Yeah, why can't you drink the water? 90% of the water in China is contaminated.
Why is the whole country flood every time it rains?
Yeah, exactly. Why? Why are there so many floods? Yeah,
there's no drains.
We've had some massive rains around here recently. And the interesting thing, I got to say, because I'm still getting used to the whole America thing, is I drove through a rainstorm not that long ago, and it was the most ridiculous rainstorm I've ever driven through in my life. Okay, I couldn't see.
It was quick, but
couldn't see a few meters ahead of me, right? Yeah. But anyway, massive rainstorm, and the next morning it didn't look like there was any rain. Everything was dry, everything was good, no falling over trees or buildings or anything, and signs on the road or anything, just as it was, because the drainage works. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, it's a shame that the Price is Right set had to suffer so much damage. Come on down.
Exactly.
But I mean, you know what they said when he said "come on down"?
They meant the ceiling. Like, ceiling, come on down.
Crap. Crap. He said raise the roof. I didn't mean to say come on down.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, you're sitting there having your milk tea or whatever in this fancy mall, and the ceiling falls down and clubbers you on the head, or your friend, or your...
You mean an I want Lo Yuan?
Yes, exactly. It's I love I love playing garden,
Yeah.
which is even worse because that's probably for kids.
Yeah, it is.
That's probably a
That
little
is for
kids
children.
playing place over there. You imagine you taking your kid to the mall. It's like, oh, we're going to go to the play place, and they're like, yay, and they go, and then the ceiling collapses on their head. You're like,
Yeah.
great job, China's safety standards.
Yes.
All right, before we continue, because you obviously still need to see what was in that horrible soup. I hope people have
We got a lot
cast
of,
their ideas and aspersions.
Yes. Yes.
We're going to have a quick word. So, what are we going to say?
Fueling my body with whole foods is important, but every diet has its nutrient gaps, including mine. That's why I always start my day with AG1. It ensures that I'm filling my nutritional gaps, supporting my whole body health, and I'm starting my day off right. We absolutely love AG1. It's the quickest thing you can do, the healthiest thing you can do in under, 30 seconds to put some powder in a cup, ding, 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 drink it down. It's delicious. It's really good for you and absolutely fills all of those gaps that you have in your diet, especially if you're like us.
Yeah.
When you're not 100% on top of things and you don't want to take handfuls of
You know when you
vitamins
say you're not 100% on top of things, if there's a negative value that I can attach to being on top of things, I would give it a negative value. So to have this as a backup is so important to me because it's obviously my own fault, but, life gets in front of me and ahead of me, and I do live a fairly unhealthy lifestyle, and this really brings me back up to a decent level.
For sure. I know my body, and if my gut isn't functioning optimally, it'll be more challenging to absorb nutrients from my healthy diet. With AG1, I'm prioritizing gut support. In a recent research study, AG1 doubled the amount of healthy bacteria in the gut, including 2 species known for supporting gut and whole body health. If there's one product I trust to support my whole body health, it's AG1, and that's why we've partnered with them for so long. It's easy and satisfying to start your journey with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/ADV. That's drinkag1.com/ADV. Check it out.
Excellent. So now I guess we're going to be moving on to our next segment of the show, which is, of course, Soft Power Hour. And that's where we talk about everything in China, specifically the way they try to change your minds and the things they try to get away with all the time.
Yes, and today's Soft Power Hour is going to be a little bit of a combo because there are some things I needed to translate to really bring some things into perspective to you. So it's kind of behind the Great Firewall as well.
Yeah, so within the Soft Power Hour segment, we're throwing in Beyond the Great Firewall today.
Yes.
Which is what's going on behind China's firewall that they usually shield from the rest of the world. And what are we looking at here? Because this looks so boring, I want to just go become an accountant or something.
I can promise you that it's not.
You sure?
I can promise you. I know it's a bit small on the screen.
Yeah, looking at that, I feel like I need a calculator or something.
Yeah.
And a pocket protector
If
and
you
some
squint, you
pens.
can actually read it and see that it's interesting.
Yes.
It is very far away from us right now.
Yeah.
This is called the 2024 Misery Ranking Grand Slam. And I'll tell you,
Grand Slam.
Yes.
It's called the Grand Slam?
Yes. And
Now
I'll
it's
tell you-
interesting.
I'll tell you why this is
I better get a
interesting.
colorful see-through calculator with those
Yes.
like neon buttons
Yes,
on it.
you should. I'll tell you why this is interesting.
Okay.
This post went viral in China. So viral to the point where usually the Chinese government will take a post and just wipe it from the earth. They
Sure.
have the ability to go like this. It's like a modern day police state. They can literally just
Like that woman in the chain woman.
Yes.
Try find
Gone.
her online. Impossible.
go on.
You want to
right?
find out what happened to her? You can't.
You can't because they wiped it out.
Yeah.
Even after all this like crap that was going on with everyone trying to figure it out, right?
Yep,
Independent
done.
journalists there. It's gone
Yep.
off the Chinese internet, right?
Yep.
This post went so viral so quickly
Mm-hmm.
that not only could they not remove it in time, it went so viral that it spurred a massive discussion in China that has freaked the F out of the government
Yeah.
to unprecedented levels. Do you remember, explain lie flat to everyone.
That was when everybody was giving up. Well, there was this idea that it's too difficult to actually make it and become successful in modern Chinese society, that it's better to just do as little as possible and just float by.
Yes.
And they didn't like that.
No.
They didn't like that at all. So they tried their best to kind of change that whole thing and get
Yes.
rid of it.
So this is bigger than that,
Yeah.
which is crazy because that was like a crazy phenomenon the government was like really upset about. They're like, the economy is going to go away if everyone starts giving up.
Yeah,
Right.
if the young people that are supposed to be entering the workforce
Yeah.
are just coasting by and living off their meager amount of allowance from their parents or something and
Right.
chilling out and lying out in the shade in the park on their phone all day.
Right.
You know?
Because that's all the ambition's gone, right?
Yeah.
So go to the next slide. And then
It's like, why bother type thing.
Yeah, it's like, why bother? This is now become a new catchphrase in China, and it's called the garbage time of history. And it was spurred on by this. So
Okay.
basically, this person made this kind of ranking system about like what are your physical attributes or what are your talents and what you can do in this economy.
Sure.
Right? And in China, remember, you're supposed to, the world's your oyster, right? The economy's doing great. We're going to lead the world, not like sluggish America, like America's in decline. We're going to take over.
Sure.
This person put the bitter truth out there.
Yeah.
And it took off like wildfire. Right?
Yes.
So it says, if you have good physical strength and a strong body, you can participate in a triathlon. What are your options?
You can become a takeaway, express delivery driver, or a DD, which is like a Uber driver.
Yeah. So if you lose your job, which a lot of people, employment's through the roof in
So
China
this is
right now.
so this is if you lose your traditional job, what can you do?
Because unemployment's so crazy
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
If you get old and you can still move, participate in 3 lucky treasures. What are those?
Security, cleaning, or a nanny. So security is like a baoan, and you see
Yes.
this a lot. It's probably it's the opposite of what you would think if you say security.
Yes.
You know, when you go somewhere here, you go somewhere and there's like security guards. They're usually, well, here in America, they're either really jacked up, and they wear those like vest security, and they're like mean looking, and they really take their job seriously, or they're just massively fat. But it doesn't matter.
But they
They're
also
still-
take their job
They take their
seriously.
job seriously. They just.
They have a tactical
I'm not
knife.
worried about them. Let's put it this way: if I were to do something like I walk into a shopping mall and a Price Chopper or something, and there's like a grape there, and I like eat it in front of them, and they try to chase me,
Sure.
I'm good. I can actually just walk. I can just walk. But the thing is, it's security is they're there to enforce security.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But in China, the security guards are usually these old men that wander around with their hands behind their back, and it's more just a presence that they're there.
Yeah.
They can't do anything,
No.
and they never do.
No.
You can steal or break, you can smash a window, and they'll be like, don't do that.
Yes.
That's it.
Another thing I'd like to add on about these jobs so far is you're making like a couple $100 a month.
Yes,
right?
very
It's
little,
bad,
very
right?
little. So cleaning sucks. That's those like street sweepers and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, I mean they're
right?
making nothing, right?
Security is the old guys meandering around or sitting in a little booth somewhere just
Yeah.
to be there. And the nanny is to look after kids, obviously.
If you're unwilling to work hard and take part in the entrepreneurship trilogy.
Okay, so what is that? Setting up stalls, opening stores, and self-media.
So these basically these live stream people that have to sell like grapes or something on the
Yeah,
side of the
yeah,
road,
yeah.
right? And that's
Or-
also people look down on that.
Yeah, self-media. So what are you talking about, like streaming and
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
Yeah, so that type of thing.
If you pursue quality of life, join the pseudo middle class trilogy. This really hurt the CCP. This one.
Coffee, milk tea, and baking.
So you can, if you have enough money to start a shop, you set up a coffee shop, a milk tea shop, and baking. This is facetious, by
Yeah.
the way, because these all go under because they're like
Every single
everywhere.
time. Yeah, a pseudo-middle-class trilogy. I like that.
Anyway, it
Yes,
goes
yeah.
on and on, but go to the next slide.
Okay.
They actually ranked the Grand Slam. The CCP freaking hates this post because this is reality for
Yeah.
people now.
So unemployment is a
one
one-star happiness rating, right?
Yeah.
Unemployment plus mortgage loan is 2 stars,
That's if you're unemployed and you have a mortgage.
which has happened a lot.
Lot.
You know all these shills that keep going on about like in China they have 90% home ownership or something. 0%, we've already
Yes.
told everyone no one can own a home.
no.
Only the government can own land and property.
Yes.
You can lease it for 70 years, not even your entire lifespan.
It
in
can be
most
taken away
cases.
from you whenever,
Depends
by the
on
way.
if you're like a crazy person or not, because 70 might be more than your lifespan. But I'm just saying, for most people that live a normal life, you would not keep it for your whole life.
No.
Okay, so on top of that, ownership just means someone's gotten a loan to get something. Doesn't mean they actually own it.
No.
So they're paying it off, right? So part of Chinese culture is to own property, not only for the marriage thing, but also that's the only way to really invest.
Yeah.
So a lot of people own stuff like, well, they own a lease. They're tied into a lease, but they still have to pay it off. So if you get unemployed and you have to pay it off, now you're in a 2-star misery. Then you got 3-star, which is unemployment plus mortgage plus debt. You know that mortgage is debt, by the way?
It is.
So what is like that's additional debt? Like I guess if you owe money to somebody
banks.
else, shadow banks or gambling, or the money that you borrowed to actually put your deposit down.
A lot of
for your
people have
mortgage.
like a little shop somewhere else and
Yeah.
they pay that off.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Unemployment plus mortgage plus debt plus raising children. Now we're looking at a 4-star.
4-star general.
Yeah, exactly. Next, unemployment plus mortgage plus debt plus raising children plus stock trading. Yes. Now, that's one thing in China that remember when I predicted the stock market crash like
Yeah, you did.
2 weeks or something
You
before
did,
in
yeah.
China, a massive one?
Yeah.
I was like, guys, stop, because the cleaning ladies and things were doing stock market
That's
things
when
on
it's a
their
bad
phones.
sign.
Yeah, it was bad. And then it did. It was massive. People
horrible.
were jumping off buildings. It was
Yeah, it's
terrible.
crazy.
Anyway, the stock market is very bad to invest in China. Okay, so that's why it's now you got a 5-star. Remember, unemployment plus mortgage plus debt plus raising children plus stock trading plus illness. Yeah, now you're really
now
messed
we're
up.
at a 6-star general.
Guys, if you've ever had to deal with the hospitals in China, you will know that it's not like most other places.
Oh my
you have to
gosh.
pay before they even see you.
Yep.
You have to line up,
Yep.
or if you're too sick, you have to get someone else to line up for you
Yep.
to
Pay
pay
money.
to get a little medical book to say you can go see the doctor, and then it's very expensive. People don't understand how expensive it is. The government doesn't pay for your medical. It's supposed to be a socialist, communist, whatever. Not when it comes to
Not
medication.
free. Not free.
You have to pay for it. And if you compare the price of paying for like fixing a broken leg or something in China compared to, say, the US, yeah, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
But people earn so little in China that it's the
a big
same
deal.
or more.
Yeah. Any major surgery or like cancer treatment stuff in China is outlandishly expensive.
Yeah, and you get skewed because if you live in China and you go get treated for a cold or something, it's really cheap.
Really cheap, yeah.
Because they give you some generic drug and it's very cheap to get
Or
it.
Chinese medicine.
Yeah, Chinese medicine. And it ends up costing you like $10, $20 or something. You're like, wow, this is so cheap. Oh, well, just try get something serious done and you'll see it's really expensive.
Yeah.
Next, we've got unemployment plus mortgage plus debt plus raising children plus stock trading plus illness plus house failure. Are we talking about the rotten tail type stuff? So a lot of people, they take out a mortgage on a property, right? And it doesn't get finished. So now you're in debt, you're paying this mortgage, and then the construction company either goes bankrupt and doesn't finish the project, or they keep kicking the can down the road and they refuse to do it, or if they do finish the building, it's such poor quality and crap. So you basically have a mortgage and debt for something that doesn't exist.
Yep.
And isn't it so stupid, by the way? You know, you get a 70-year lease, 70-year. But I know people who bought properties, and the lease is based on when the construction company got the lease for the land. So they bought properties that only have like 40 years left. So when they bought it, they're only getting 40 years.
How about when the government just decides they want that area and then the houses go away anyway?
Yeah, of
Remember,
course.
we were in a village where that was what happened.
Yes,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
So imagine that. Imagine you go ahead and you're like, yes, I'm going to invest in this. They're making this new project. Yes, there's only 40 years left on the land. You pay for it. You get into debt. You start this mortgage. And then they drag out the construction process for another 5 years. So now it's only 35 years. If you move in, you'll only have 35 years left on your lease anyway. But then something goes wrong and it gets held in limbo and they don't finish the project and all this. This is what they're talking about house failure here.
Yeah.
So now the 8th star is unemployment, mortgage, negative price, whatever that is, raising a baby. I guess
Negative price is debt.
debt,
It's just a
negative
bad
price.
translation.
It's a very interesting way to say debt. Yes, exactly. Raising a baby, stock trading, illness, house in ruins, and Mao Cig village. What is Mao Cig village?
What that actually means, that's a bad translation. Mao Cig, people are hoarding Mao Cig because there's nothing to invest in anymore. So people have these like harems of Mao Cig.
Okay, Mao Cig is alcohol, by the
Yes,
way.
it's
very famous, very famous baijiu, yeah.
So that's the top, the top 8-star general of the misery Grand Slam.
And I've been hearing this go around for a while.
Oh, this
now.
is massive right
Yeah.
now. So what this did is there was a famous comment in this post,
Yes.
right? And it was someone on Xiaohongshu, which is a little red book.
Yeah.
It's an app.
What's this? Is this related?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll explain in a second.
Yeah.
Some people say
one.
that history has garbage time. This
Yes.
quote spurred an entire internet revolution in China because what garbage time is at the end of a basketball game when it's already kind of, you already know who's going to win or whatever.
So if you've got one team's got like
Yeah.
50 points, the other one's got 0.
Yeah.
But there's only 2 minutes left.
you're not going to catch up.
Yeah, no one can catch. It's
You can't.
impossible.
Yeah, that's called garbage time.
Okay.
It means it's meaningless, right? If you want to use this in an analogy for like Chinese society, it means that why put in the effort? Why do all this stuff? Because we're in garbage time now.
Sure.
Insinuating that the current political situation in China has put people into garbage time, meaning that there's no way to get out of this slump. Like the country is portraying propaganda like it's all rosy in China when it's not. We know it's not,
Yeah,
right? And this is what happened. People started to attribute this and misattribute this. You go to the next. We'll come back to this. This is just a great article about it.
Okay.
In Chinese, you can probably translate it in Google
Yeah.
or something. They're misattributing this whole like history in garbage time to this guy, Ludwig von Mises. Okay, he was an Austrian free market economist, and the reason that they're
Does he come from a long line of mice?
I don't know.
I am from the mices.
There's a reason they're doing this. His whole the crux of his philosophy
Yes.
was that the more a government dips their fingers into the economy or tries to control the economy, the more failure the country will go through. The more problems the country will have. So it's best, you can have an authoritarian dictatorship or whatever. He doesn't say this, but like the idea in China is you can have authoritarian dictatorship. You got to let people make their own money. You got to let people run the economy and have businesses and things like this, right?
Yeah, so you can provide stability, but let the people generate their own income.
Yes.
Don't meddle with that too
No
much.
intergovernment intervention in the economy. You can imagine the Chinese government isn't too keen on seeing this guy being quoted in these viral posts with hundreds of millions of people looking at them.
no.
It's nuts, right?
They don't like it.
They hate this. So what happened was there's an author for the Economic Observers, Ma Xiangyang, right? And I guess in an article, he kind of interpreted this as a reference to the current era, but he used the Ming Dynasty as like the way to like portray what they were talking about. It says that as far as the Chinese history is concerned, the Ming Dynasty opened by Zhu Yanzhang is a typical historical garbage time. He started his empire with empire dream of severe punishments and harsh laws and wanted to protect the family's name for generations. Objectively, it only extended the length and depth of the period of darkness. So you understand it's an analogy for currently what's happening, and now the government's losing their freaking mind.
Yeah,
Dude.
but they don't want to be compared to the Ming Dynasty.
No. Because this whole lying flat thing, they kind of left that behind them, right? It's still a thing in China.
Sure.
But this is now really taken off. You go to the next slide here.
Sure.
This has become a huge thorn in the CCP's side because this kind of means that there's inevitable failure at the end of the road here.
Yes, that means that there's a road plan for failure.
Yes. When the whole thing about the Chinese government is that we're the only country that's doing things right. We're so successful. They drank their own Kool-Aid for so long now.
Yeah.
We're so successful that the rest of the world can crumble, but we will be on the right path. Chinese people look around, they say, well, my neighbor's shop just closed. I'm in massive debt. My house wasn't finished. I'm in debt to the property company.
Yeah.
My son just got out of college and makes 2,000 or 3,000 RMB a month with a master's degree.
And suffering from a respiratory illness because of the factories nearby.
And the pollution and stuff,
Yeah.
right? And you look around and all of a sudden it doesn't matter what the propaganda says anymore.
Sure.
And I think I love this sentiment going viral in China because it really humanizes what's happening. I think a lot of us can look at the propaganda and say, "Oh, well, screw the Chinese government, it's bad, whatever." But you know, I think as a casual observer of China, you'll forget that people have to live there, right? Hundreds of millions, a billion plus people have to live there, right?
Sure.
And they are not stupid. They don't walk around looking around saying like everything is freaking awesome, right?
Yeah, but what they do is they compartmentalize.
Yes.
So when you hear somebody complain about like, I got sick and I lost my job and this and that, they're like, well, that sucks for you, but at least it doesn't happen to me.
Yes.
And the government keeps telling me that everything's great. So you're just unfortunate.
Yes.
You just happen to come across some unfortunate times.
Right.
But you see it happen more and more and more.
Yes.
You still ignore it, but then it happens to you, and then you're like, wait.
And that's what's happening. It's happening to you now. And
that's when people take it seriously. That's the unfortunate thing about Chinese society is that people live in their own little bubbles, their own little support communities, their little like
by
their
design.
family.
It's by design.
Yeah, the Chinese government wants it that way, so that people, when they see this tragedy around them, they just like, oh, that's someone else's problem, not mine.
Yes,
and they don't
exactly.
attribute it to the government. But when it happens to them, then all of a sudden they realize, holy crap.
I want to quote the Chinese government here, okay?
Okay.
Because they are, like I said, it got so viral, it got so out of control that they can't, not only can they not censor it, they have to like combat it now.
Yeah.
So this is from Renmin University, right?
Yeah.
A closer look at, this is talking about the garbage history, right?
Garbage time, yeah.
A closer look at this pseudo word reveals that it is more dangerous than the lying flat theory in recent years. It completely denies China's current development situation and attempts to create public expectations that the country will eventually fail, right? And it keeps going. They even put out an article in the Beijing Daily. It said, "History's garbage time, true or false?" Now, it's wild to see state media even using this headline.
Yes.
Right? This is unprecedented.
It's because it's spread too much.
It is too much.
Yeah.
Is there any garbage time in our history? This is a false proposition that is not worth refuting. This is a 3,000 character piece, by the 3,000 word piece.
Wow.
It's
not worth refuting, but I'll make a 3,000 word
tell me you don't care
refutation.
without
Yes,
telling me
exactly.
you don't care.
Yeah.
History's garbage time, true or false? An advocacy and incitement with ulterior motives. It goes on and on to talk about this Mises theory about government intervention. They're going on about how this is nonsense.
Just like all these mice sitting around making up a theory. I'm sorry. I don't know why. This is mice's thing.
I'll say Mises. Maybe it's
Okay.
Mises. This theory that the government shouldn't intervene in the economy because the whole part and parcel of how the Chinese government operates right now is we will control the economy to make it good for you as a normal person. And people wake up and they go, my life sucks. This is really bad. I have no incentive to move forward because the economy is doing poorly.
Yeah.
So this is one thing to watch if you're like a China watcher or whatever. This is one thing that really, if you look into it, on the surface it's like, oh, a viral internet post. But deep down, this is where the real deep-seated resentment and hatred of what's happening in China is happening with the average person.
Exactly.
And it actually spreads to this because this whole viral post thing is ultimately tied to this big food scandal that's been happening. Because in the comments of that post, people started to bring up this. And it's another thing the government's really pissed off about.
This has been an open secret for a long time, but it finally got the spotlight.
Yeah.
And what's been happening is these tanker trucks have been basically transporting petroleum products and things in these tankers, right? Which you can
chemicals
see.
too.
Yeah, absolutely. Petroleum products, chemicals. Okay. But turns out that they've been going and dropping off this like very harmful chemicals and petrol products, and they've been draining out the stuff and then filling it up with cooking oil without cleaning it, and then transporting the cooking oil back to be, you know, whatever, packaged or sold to the public and to be used in restaurants and stuff. So
Yeah, some Chinese journalists figured this out.
yeah, and they interviewed the truck drivers and stuff, and they're like, well, we only make a couple hundred RMB for every delivery, and it's expensive, and we don't have time to clean them out. And everybody knows about it. Everybody in the industry knows about it.
Yeah.
So again, this idea of China being advanced, if they cannot even get basic food safety right, they're not advanced. Right? It's that simple.
Yes.
You know, it's like saying he's a brilliant mathematician, but he doesn't know how to say what the 2 + 2 is.
Yes.
If you don't know the basics, if you can't do the basics, everything else that's built on top of that is just lies
Absolutely.
and BS.
Absolutely. I think it's a great analogy, right? Anyway, people are going crazy about this. This is food scandals. It reminds me of the baby formula thing where people just went nuts. If you play this, they actually had to put this out on
They had to because,
CCTV.
you know, people started to get really riled up about this. So let's see what he says. Illegal enterprises and the relevant responsible person will be severely punished in accordance with the law and will not be tolerated.
So what will happen, I'll paraphrase here.
Yeah.
What will happen is no one relevant will be punished.
No.
The people that are connected will get out of this scot-free.
They'll probably
have a
get some
fall
truck
guy.
driver or something, be like, he's the one.
He's the one, not the guy that organized this and didn't let the truck driver clean
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
And that's what will happen.
And I like how they say it will not be tolerated, but it has been tolerated for
Yes.
years.
Oh, yeah. Actually, there's a clip in here that says that.
Okay, all right, let's take a look.
违法企业和相关责任人将依法严惩，绝不姑息。
So people are dumping their oil out everywhere.
I mean, I would too.
Yeah.
But you know what? They're being putting it in the car. That's not a good idea. If you dump your oil in the drain, the IE downstairs is going to be real happy with the
gutter oil people. The gutter oil industry must be booming right now.
Gutter oil's probably safer because at least they filter it.
No, I'm saying the gutter oil people are going to be taking this
yeah,
petrol
exactly.
oil.
Yeah. They're like,
Right?
yeah,
Free gutter oil, dude.
don't do what don't do this.
No, but it's going viral in China as a joke, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this oil situation is going nuts. I saw this daughter. She's asking her mom. She's like, "Why do we keep just using lard instead of oil?" She's like, "We can't use oil anymore. It's gotten like Here's the deal. People panic about something. This might be a huge issue, right?
Yeah.
Can you pause it there?
Sure.
This might be a huge issue, and it probably is a huge issue. But does this mean that every oil is contaminated in China? Probably not, right?
No.
But the way China works,
never
is
know,
that-
though.
You never know. But the way that China works is that the government keeps everyone so closed off with blinders on all the time. And you're only allowed to see the state's view of everything, that when something leaks out, of course it's big news. They want you to react big to nationalism, to patriotism and things like this, right? National endeavors for, uniting the country or something. But then when something leaks out like this, people have an appropriate response. They're like, what's going on, right?
Yeah, look, and I've got to tell you, it's serious. And some people might be wondering, why is oil such a big deal in China? That's because everybody uses oil.
Yes.
You don't get ovens in China.
No.
It's kind of a weird thing, okay? You know, an oven. A lot of people use an oven. You can bake bread or you throw a pizza in the oven or whatever. They don't exist
have a kaoxiang,
in
dude.
China. Yeah, they don't exist in China.
they don't.
No apartment I ever rented had an oven in it.
Nope.
No house has an oven in
Nope.
it. it's a Western idea. It's a foreign idea.
Yes.
Everything is cooked on like a stovetop. You know, like you get these, it's either gas powered or electric cooker, like a cooktop, whatever you want to call it. And everything's fried. You either steam things in China or you fry things in China. It's pretty much it.
Stuff baked in an oven is considered unhealthy because it's 上火. It makes your qi too hot.
Yeah, so that's why everybody freaks out when it comes to oil. That's why there's this whole industry for gutter oil, is because oil is something that people cannot do without.
Yes.
Think about it. If you go to the shops, what are the staples you get in the West? It's normally bread and milk and eggs, right? So in China, they don't have milk and bread. They throw that out the window. It's oil and rice.
Oil and rice. That's a staple.
And vegetables type thing. You know, that's it. So when you go to the shop and you have your shopping list, it's got oil on it. Okay? Everybody has oil. It's the same as milk and bread in the West.
Yes.
It's such an important part of living in China.
Yep.
So when you find out that the oil that you've been buying has probably been in a tanker with like petroleum, you know, chemicals and never washed, you're probably like, what the hell?
Yeah, so the reason, though, this has political implications is that apparently some really high up dude in the CCP said something like, if the nation can't provide food safety for its citizens, it didn't say that, I don't know if this is in response to this, I think this is separate.
Yeah.
If the nation can't, or if the government can't provide food safety for the nation, then they have no right to govern.
Yeah.
And so people started using, remember that viral post we just...
Yeah.
People were posting that in response to that with this story. So then it kind of all caught on with this garbage time in history. It's like, well, our economy sucks. We're losing our jobs. Everything's bad. Stock market, blah, blah, all this kind of stuff. And this food scandal's happening. We can't trust our government to provide food safety for us.
Correct.
This is a dirty storm.
It is.
It's bad.
It's very bad. Yeah. So this has been a massive food scandal. But here's another thing that has come to light recently. Food scandals are very common in China.
Yes.
And especially if you go down to the more sort of rural local areas, I mean, that's the thing. China's a big country. You go to any little small town or any small city or something, and you're eating the food there. It doesn't matter if it's from the street or the supermarkets or whatever. You have no idea where that comes from. There's no proper regulatory body in China to keep an eye on everything. And even if there is, it's always bribed away and so on. So this woman's walking around in this area, and she came across this farm, this outdoor factory processing chickens.
It's called a black processing plant. And what that means, black means unregulated.
Yes. So this is where chickens are being prepared to be sold. Okay, so they're being defeathered and they're being sort of red-skinned. But the thing is, you don't know anything about these chickens. Did they die of disease? Are they remnants of the floods that killed them all? And
dead meat, as we call it in China, was a huge problem. They were using, frozen reserves from the
World
70s
War
or
II.
something?
World War
it's from
II.
World War II.
They were buying, back in World War II, they stored a bunch of meat in like, I don't know where, in like frozen mountain areas and stuff, as reserves for food in Europe and stuff, because obviously you're at war, you need extra reserves. So all these things have been sitting there for decades, and then they were like, we got to get rid of this. But China bought it up, and the people were actually selling it in China.
Yes.
Meat from the 40s.
Yes.
I'm like, you can look it up. We're not making that up. Anyway, so they came across this, and they noticed that the workers looked really scabby and gross. And they were like, what's going on here, guys? And you can see how they're preparing these poor dead chickens. And they got this like, what would you even call this? Like a freaking pond liner with some bricks.
It's the most cursed and forbidden soup I've ever seen in my life.
It's disgusting.
And by the way, if you guys think it's disgusting, please like the stream. It's completely free to do so. Click the like button. We'd love your support.
Yeah, we would. But I just love the random brickage,
Yeah, I like the bricks holding the tarp down.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
It's cursed chicken soup, broth, brine in a tarp.
Yes.
With bricks.
And that disgusting red bucket full of the congealed blood remains of bits and pieces over there. Now, imagine taking a big gulp of that.
So we had a night. Actually, let's examine further.
Okay.
Let's enhance. Right. Enhance the image.
Enhance. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, pause that.
Okay. I like how they've got, by the way, if I get us out of here, now we know the origin of the bricks.
Yes.
Okay, they've got this little beer crate thing here, which has got the bricks, which they probably scavenged from a wall nearby, and they brought it along to like, yeah, exactly. So they put these bricks and they bring them over to like line the tarp so that it doesn't fly off in the wind.
Yes.
You got some random chickens that are hanging out on the bricks on the tarp over there that haven't been thrown into the brine yet.
Yes.
Whatever this disgusting mixture is.
That is truly disgusting.
Yes.
Because you know that's full of guts and bacteria. Dude, that's COVID-24. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is.
In there?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need any sort of virology expert to understand that you probably don't want to be messing around with that avian mess.
No.
That is truly awful.
It's disgusting.
Do you think this is what's going to go into chicken in a bag, the gas station snack in China?
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
So in China, you get these like gelatinized chicken pieces in a vacuum sealed bag that have maggots in them sometimes.
you know where this is going to?
Where?
This is going to the street food in Chongqing or in like
or in big cities,
these big places where all these shills are going like, wow,
Yeah,
China's
yeah.
so amazing and safe. Street food's so delicious. They're eating this.
Yeah, Shanghai.
Yeah,
You know?
they're just like, look at this beautiful, wonderful seafood, and they have like that rotisserie chicken stuff or whatever. This is
They
it.
probably say something like it's, I don't know, it's probably
Oh yeah, they probably say,
好吃，好好吃。
you know, they say that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so gross.
That is truly...
Shills be sucking on this stuff, man.
Shills, this is actually...
You know when
what's
they go to
crazy?
the Hotan night market in Xinjiang?
Yeah.
You wonder where those chickens come from that you're eating? This is where it comes from.
Do you know what's crazy? There's actually
What?
a factual documentary that I just watched. It's probably on like one of the streaming services. It's like, what do shills eat?
Mm-hmm.
And it actually had a pie chart. And actually like 93% of the shill diet is that. It's actually...
Yeah,
that's
and
their
you know when they
diet.
drink the like whatever bubble milk tea, they
actually
use that
that
water.
broth.
Yeah, and they add sugar and colorant.
This is shill soup, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
They actually, you know what? I actually caught a shill the other day doing this.
Yeah.
You know, someone sent me some footage.
You just take a big gulp Slurpee
Yes.
cup and you fill it up with that. You know.
You know, one of them, they're all bald, right?
Yeah, yeah,
They're walking
yeah.
around trying to find, you know, they're hungry.
Yeah.
And I caught one on camera actually taking a cup. He just walked by. Well, he didn't even pay. He just went like this.
Just like
walked
that.
away like
Oh,
that.
nice.
Had a little nip.
No,
you
I
know.
did, yeah,
This
yeah.
is shill soup.
Shill soup.
Oof. I did have a question for everyone. I just wanted to enhance a few times.
Enhance.
I
I
wanted to
guess
see the
that's a
broth
wok.
more.
Is that a wok?
Yes,
That
that is
they've
cool.
got a wok on a handle to like, you know, they throw them in that disgusting gelatinous.
Or take them out.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like, if you look, I'm gonna go
It's
back.
the color that's truly
I
disgusting.
gotta go back just to here because
It's that pink hue.
yeah. Take a look at what's going on. They're
Yeah, let's paint a picture.
they're boiling. It looks like they're boiling the feathers off the
They are.
chickens in
That's what
that
they're
like
doing.
in a boiled broth thing,
correct.
right? And they got a little metal thing there,
No enhance.
and they like take the featherless chicken where it's all boiled off into that disgusting gelatinous, you know that bucket of blood over there, right? So they
Yeah.
throw in the bucket of blood. Then they take. You can see the wok thing in action. Can you see it up there? It's actually not a wok, it's a net. It's like something that looks like a colander or something, you know what I mean? A strainer on a pole, right? On a broom handle. And then what they do is they take that and they fish the chicken carcasses out of that bloody, disgusting...
Get us out of here, Winston.
Okay, all right.
No, we have to finish that.
Okay, so...
You finish what you started.
Yeah, exactly.
You click this.
Yeah. So here you have like the... There you can see the strainer thing on the pole. So they've fished it out of that disgusting congealed blood red bucket thing, and then they throw it in the brine to settle. And I guess so the turds and stuff can like get diluted out of the bodies or something in there. I don't know
Can
what
you
it is.
just leave it there for a second?
Yeah.
So while they're doing that,
Yeah.
I wanted to show you when they get enough chickens out of there, you can finally see the hue of the broth. What would you name that color? Because that
Over
is
here?
the most unappealing color I've ever seen. That's disgusting.
中国粉红.
I guess, yeah, China pink,
It's maybe China pink.
because little pinks.
Yeah, exactly.
You're making fun of Wuma.
Yeah.
That is truly disgusting. It's kind of like if you know what it looks like to me?
What?
This is very specific. I don't know why you do this. But if you had like a nasty scab that's always bleeding and stuff, you put big Band-Aids on it, right? And then
Yeah.
you forgot, you left it on there for a week, and you take it off and you threw it in a cup of water.
And you just did like a tea bag.
Yeah, like a Band-Aid tea bag.
Yeah, a Shill tea bag, yeah.
That's actually what they drink. It's actually part of their
Yeah.
medical routine. The Shills actually will drink
Yep,
that before bed
Shill
as like
bag.
a nightcap.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like they drink Band-Aid water.
Yeah. Oh, they brush their teeth with this as well, you know?
This is absolutely disgusting. But I had a question for everyone.
Yes.
How much for a swim? I want to
Okay.
pull. I want to come up with a bracket
Okay.
and let's come up with some rules.
Okay, what are the rules?
How you come up with it? How long do you have to swim?
It's got to be 20 minutes minimum 20 minutes.
You have to swim for 20 minutes, and your whole head has to go.
Yeah, your hair, everything has to get into your ears and your nose and everything. Not
Yeah.
allowed to wear goggles or
No goggles.
no nose pinching pegs or anything.
Just a bathing suit.
Yes.
Okay,
bathing
so we
suit.
got free. We got, I'm going to say between, I'll say $100 to $1,000. I'll make brackets.
Okay.
$100 to $1,000. I'm going to do $10,000 to $50,000.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to see how cheap people are.
Okay, sure. And then what about
And then-
refuse?
You want to do refuse?
Yeah, we got to have a refuse. And like refuse.
Actually, you know what I'll do for the second? I'll do, actually, for the second choice, then I'll do, okay, first choice is going to be $100 to $10,000.
Yeah.
Then the second choice is going to be $100,000 plus.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then
Refuse.
refuse.
Like
okay.
refuse.
So 20-minute swim. How much for a swim, guys? Poll is up. Please vote.
Go ahead and vote.
This is anonymous. We won't know what you voted for.
No, of course not.
I'll put it in my Excel sheet later. I'll be like, did you know what? Let me read some. Stephen Kane said.
No, well, we can't. We actually have no
We have no
access to
idea.
that
It was a
data.
joke.
So yeah.
How much for a swim? Free is the first choice. Between $100 and $10,000. It's like prices, right? $100 and $10,000 in that bracket.
Mm-hmm.
We have $100,000 plus, and then refuse.
Yes.
So how much would it cost for you to take a? By the way, did you notice something about this?
What?
I did a color match of the hue.
Oh, you
on
did? Oh, you did
on
on the pink.
title.
Oh,
Yeah.
the
Did you like
China
that?
pink. Yeah.
The Band-Aid water.
中国粉红. Yeah.
Band-Aid water pink.
Yeah, Band-Aid water pink.
It's
yeah.
for shills.
It is. Yeah.
The Xiao Fan Hong that love to swim. They love
Yes.
to.
Yeah,
have a sip,
that's it.
You know?
Yep. Oh yeah, yeah. You know, if they have breakfast cereal, they actually like don't use milk. They use this.
They use this for sure.
Yeah, and they hoping little chunks of whatever's inside the chicken's stomach ends up in there as
It's
well.
free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe a toenail from one of the chicken feet as well.
Probably, yeah. It's a little treat.
Yep. something to
Shills
suck on.
love this, they said.
Yeah,
Shills love this.
Shills love this. Yeah.
Okay, 1,000 votes. You ready?
What do we got?
I'll read the results now.
Okay.
So a bit of money to get sick for life. Sounds good.
yes. Yes.
All right. So between $100 and $10,000, 9%. 9% of you are
Wow.
real sick.
Yeah. I mean, hey, man, if you need the money, I get it.
10% of you would do it for free.
Even more.
Even more.
Okay.
You'll do it for free. Well,
Yeah.
Maybe 10% of our audience are shilling, dude.
Maybe
They're
it's
China
possible. This
shills.
is like the shill broth.
CCP shill broth.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some lore we're creating.
Yeah.
here. This shill broth should go down in ADV lore.
Yeah, I
Don't you
think so. Yeah, shill
It should be
broth.
in the iceberg.
Yeah, it should be.
I think it is now canon now, shill broth.
shill broth,
All
dude.
shills drink this. If you ever have like a
Yes.
conversation
You know,
at
like
the
when
bar,
they say doctors hate this one trick. It's like all shills drink this one broth.
I want to posit something
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah, what's
hold
that?
on. 29% of people say more than $100,000.
Okay.
And 50% of people refuse. And 50% of you are awesome. I think
Yeah.
you shouldn't do this.
Yes, I don't think anyone should.
But I'm positing something
What's
because
that?
now this is canon, right? This is in ADV lore. If you go to the bar and you're having a chat, let's say you get on geopolitics and you're talking about China, and somehow it comes up. Yeah, I keep seeing these videos online about these people. They're like traveling around China. They're like, the West has Western media lied to you. China is the future, and they show all this infrastructure stuff.
Yeah.
I keep getting recommended these videos. It's almost like these people are getting paid to do these videos or something for CCP propaganda. What you say to this person is you actually pull up this photo and you say, dude, I got the craziest thing to tell you. Not only are they paid, but actually they only drink this. This is what they drink.
You know when they say they drank the Kool-Aid?
Yes.
Now you can say they drank the shill broth.
You want to see the shill broth? And then
Yeah.
the people will be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know they would stoop so low. Right? Now you have real
So
stuff.
just remember, guys, when people say China's advanced, this kind of thing's still rampant around the country.
Yeah.
We've seen this kind of thing with our own eyes in China, okay? What's that?
Someone said I pulled over to text to this. They wanted to
Shill
vote, I
broth.
guess.
Yes. So advanced, no. When China gets rid of this kind of thing, when China can actually do basic food safety, like not mixing in cooking oil with petroleum products in the same truck,
Yeah.
then you can start to think that China's getting somewhere.
Yes.
But before they take care of these very basic things, like let's maybe not drop a rocket on a village.
Yeah.
Okay.
Multiple times.
Yes, let's maybe not have no safe drinking water in our
Yes.
country. Let's maybe not pollute the earth beyond recognition. Then we can start to talk. But before that,
Before
They
that, you
don't-
show people. You got to tell people about Shill broth.
Shill broth, dude.
Yes, I think people will go down, and this episode will go down in history as our worst episode because of Shill broth.
Shill broth, yeah. Anyway, speaking of food safety, I showed this in my previous video, but this is in Sichuan, and we have some chefs from a fancy restaurant digging up the spit oil to put into your lovely soup. So you know when these shills go like, oh, I ate the spicy hot pot in Sichuan. What they actually ate was other people's spittle
And shill broth.
phlegm and whatever else, and shill broth. Whatever was in the other person's mouth. Where
Those videos are gonna have don't do this, but those videos of people doing food tours in China are gonna be full of shill broth comments.
It's got to be shill broth because you know
You don't do it. Just
no,
saying. It's
shill
gonna
broth's
happen.
got everything in it. Like whoever was eating and like they recycle that, whether it's herpes or whatever, it's in that shill broth. Okay, here we've got very recent. This is gutter oil again, where they get the oil out the gutter and process it and sell it back to the restaurants. This was from a couple weeks ago. Okay. Because I put this in my recent video, and when I did, these videos were actually only about a week old. So this is still very recent.
Yeah.
All right. Just to let you know, food safety in China food safety is not taken
There's
care of.
people that are saying that like gutter oil went away, and it's like
never went away.
Bro, that's not fair to Chinese people if you're saying that. If you're
Yeah.
making that argument, you're denying millions of Chinese people that have an issue with this.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want them to get healthy.
No.
You don't want the problem to go
You
away.
want more gutter oil, and you want shill broth is what
Yeah,
you want. They're
yeah.
just scared the shill broth will be taken away.
Yeah, they want the shill broth, dude. Where's their delivery? You know, like you get the kuaidi and it
Yes.
comes to your door and
Yeah.
it's like the Mai Tai and you buy
Yeah.
that stuff and it's got that cup that normally has chicken blood or whatever, but it's got shill broth. And they can get their little shot of shill broth every day.
They always have those when they're on those tours, like in Xinjiang or wherever in China. They have those like placards and the
Yes.
QR code, and they like scan them to get into like the tech conference or something.
Yeah.
that actually gets into like a boom gate that opens to the shill broth pool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they bring that tarp and they just like, like Santa's
That was
sack.
small
It's like
tarp.
Santa's freaking sack. Take that tarp around. Yeah, exactly. They roll it out at every shill like tech thing.
Yeah.
Huawei's having an event.
Yes.
Shill broth's
Shill
in the
broth
back.
is
Yeah.
there.
After party
On
shill
the
broth.
house.
Yeah, exactly. They bring the sack and. Oh, disgusting. I included this as well because this is also a not recent phenomenon, okay? Actually, just recently been caught on camera more.
Yes.
Where things like, this is a water fountain, a public water fountain,
Yes.
which in China, they're disgusting.
Dude, don't even look at one.
Dude.
Your eyes will get conjunctivitis if you look at a fountain in China.
They're disgusting because, a lot of the times they don't work, so they're full of like mosquito larvae and
Yes.
all sorts
I
of
have a
other
question for
nonsense.
you.
What's that?
What's worse in China? The base of a tree or the water fountain?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a very tough one. I feel like probably the water fountain, because at least at the base of the tree like kind of
Absorbs
somehow
it?
absorbs it.
I
The
guess
water
so.
fountain is just whatever. It's
Okay.
full of stuff, right?
Good.
And this woman is a street, a street food vendor.
Yeah.
And what she's doing is grabbing this public fountain water.
And this bike guy's like, what the?
Yeah, they're saying to her like, "Wow, what's wrong with you, you old goat?" And she's using it they're saying "niu bi," which means cow vagina in Chinese, but that's just a way of saying like awesome.
Yeah, it means awesome.
But this is obviously sarcastic. They're like, "Wow, you're so awesome.
Yeah.
You're using this fountain water to cook the street food. Who the hell wants to buy stuff from you?"
Yeah.
But think about it. If you're a shill coming past there, you're like a UK couple that does travel channel stuff, and you're like, "Look at this amazing street food," and you like,
There's a lot of these, by the way.
Yeah.
What's up with all the UK street or China couples or whatever? And I mean, not China. They're from the UK.
Yeah.
They're going to China to do travel and going, "Oh, this is amazing
Yeah.
in my country." Oh, now I'm Australian.
Yeah, it's hard. Like they
Yes.
used to be British too.
So hold on, I'm gonna take
Yeah.
some shill broth. Okay. Wow, look at this street food. It's better than anything in London.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like that.
But that's what they're eating. Yeah,
Shill broth.
yeah, exactly. Again, these guys just take like from the water fountains. You see, like just
Yes.
gather some lovely, horrible polluted water to cook your street food in. So another thing, also in these clips are from my recent video, but because of these massive floods, you've had a lot of flood damage. People's shops were wiped out.
Yes.
Okay, so if you've got a bakery or a little supermarket or something, all of your goods got destroyed. And if you know anything about flood water, if something is contaminated with flood water, even if it's in a sealed package, you
It's
throw it
out.
away. You just throw it away. It's not
So
worth it.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Botulism, all the horrible bacteria.
So I'd like you to pay attention to, in the background, those blue crates. Okay, the blue beer crates. Okay, you can see, hang on, let's go to the side. See, there's a woman up there with a blue beer crate. What they're doing here is scavenging for the leftover flood damaged food.
E. coli food.
Yeah, so every like disgusting thing that got swept down the road or something, you're like, ooh, look at that. That kind of looks intact, you know? What about this piece of fruit or this, you know, whatever, sealed packaged bread or whatever, right?
Yes.
So they're scavenging all this gross flood damaged water, well, food and stuff, right? And then these are the same blue crates. Then they're just hosing them off and then they're going to sell it again. So they hose it off and they're going to sell it to you.
Yes.
You know? Not great. I don't even know what those things that they've washed off are, but I don't want to eat them.
You know what that is?
What?
That was shill broth.
It
But
was-
it's the
it was
solids
like,
that have been removed.
yeah, shill broth that ended up caught in like on a lamppost or something. You're like,
Yeah.
yes, I got one.
Yes.
Oh, it's so gross. Dude, and here's the thing. Chinese people don't like this.
No.
Why do you think someone's filming this? Because they're outraged.
Yes.
They're like, holy crap, I can't believe these people are going to sell this back in my community
Yep.
to my kid.
People lose it.
Yeah, of course. So, man, get the basics right, China. Don't allow this to happen, you know?
Yes.
Anyway, time for us to move on to Worldview. This is where we talk about everything in the world, specifically with regards to China. And what have we got going on?
Lots of stuff. So we're going pretty long, so I'll try to rip through pretty quickly. But I keep seeing these articles are insane. They're everywhere. Not this article.
Yeah.
But articles in the same vein. Talking about how China is poised and set to hit their greenhouse goals. And they're going to be carbon neutral and this and that. And there's always these graphs. I'll just draw one with my hands here.
Yeah.
There's a graph. It's like, here's China's carbon output. And it's like here. And then it shows like a huge decline. And this is the future.
Yes.
Right?
But it looks as if it's the present.
Yes.
They're always China set to.
Yeah.
China pledges
Goals,
to. China's
this.
goal, this.
When has China done anything it said?
Please, guys. Okay, here's my goal. Okay. My goal is to be more ripped than Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, you're gonna do
and
it.
I'm going to be incredibly
Yeah.
fit. In fact, I'm going to win the Olympics.
Yes.
You know,
You plan, right?
10 years' time, whenever the Olympics are,
Okay.
I'm going to win every single event.
Oh, wow.
All of them.
You will. Because
Yeah.
you plan to, right?
Yes, that's my pledge, is to win all the Olympic events. And you know what? If anyone ever comes up to me and says, like, look at you, you're eating that disgusting pizza and you're fat, you're never going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll say, don't you tell me about eating this pizza, because I've pledged to win all the Olympics and I'm going to be super fit and strong.
You know what I plan to do?
What?
I plan this, so it's going to happen because it's my plan, right? I'm going to be president of the United States.
Here we go.
I will. I mean, I absolutely will because it's my plan, right?
Yeah.
It will happen.
And I pledge to, and I plan to, and
Yes.
and that's what China does, guys. Please stop falling for this. They keep saying, we'll be carbon neutral by whatever day. Okay? And when people say, then why are you building more carbon,
You're building more coal
yeah,
plants.
why have you built
added
more coal plants than the entire world's history last month?
Why did you build more coal plants than you did before now?
Yes.
After you said you're going to stop.
And they're like, shut up. Don't look at that, because we're pledged to be carbon neutral by whatever, 20 something or other. That's how they lie. That's how they kick the can down the road. That's how they stop criticism, is they always, when people point out, hey, listen, guys, you are messing up the environment. They're like, oh, yeah, well, shut the hell up, because, we're going to do something in the future, which we're not actually going to do, but we're going to keep telling you so you leave us alone to just destroy the planet wantonly.
Thankfully, I found this article in the same
Yeah.
vein,
Okay.
which it says, this is from MIT, by the way. MIT did a great study. Shout out to MIT.
Yeah.
China's emissions of two potent greenhouse gases rise 78% in decade. And the reason I found this refreshing is because we're talking about what's really happening now.
Yes, no, it's some
I don't care about
fantasy.
later. I
And
don't care about that.
That is a fantasy
Yes.
anyway. Anyone can say anything. Anyone in our audience right now can say, I'm going to go to Mars and rule the universe.
Yes.
You say what you want.
You can say whatever you want. You got to do it first,
Yeah.
right? Like America used to be polluted in the 70s or whatever, right? Like when the smog was rolling through LA.
Why
or
do you
whatever,
think
right?
I have to have a stupid catalytic converter on my car?
Yes,
When I drive around.
Because America has laws,
Yes.
right, for this kind of stuff. But here's the deal: I don't care about what the plan of the future or whatever is. You got to do it, right?
Yes.
And China hasn't done anything. The only thing they've done
Is
to show that
make it worse.
they're going to do this is add more coal plants.
Yes.
Add more greenhouse gases.
Destroy the environment more.
Exactly. So we're looking at these two greenhouse gases, tetrafluoromethane and hexafluoroethane, right?
Yeah.
These are 64 to 66% of the global output was from one single country.
China.
Right? And that's what matters. 78% of greenhouse gases rose in a decade, yet this country is saying that they are at the forefront of green technology and going to be the world leader in making the world a better place.
Yeah.
Bro, it's like Nal Hutta in Star Wars. It is polluted beyond belief. People are going to have to leave. It's so bad.
Yeah.
So stop.
Just
stop.
shut
And
up
thank
about
you for
that.
this article.
Yeah, this is good to see some, I don't know, reality for once.
Reality about now. The increase in emissions from China was sufficient to account for the global emission increases over that same period, suggesting that China is the dominant driver in tetrafluoromethane and hexafluoroethane released into the atmosphere globally. The emissions were found to mainly originate from less populated industrial zones in the western regions of China and are thought to be due to the role of perfluorocarbons in the aluminum industry. And when I was in Western China, I went on a train, went through a city that literally looked like something that should be artificially intelligence generated. It was so scary. It was in the middle of the day. It was supposed to be a sunny day, and the sky was black as smokestacks belched fire into the air, and people walked covered in soot.
Yeah.
As they walked from school past these factories, and when I rode by that on a train, it's like in 2014 or something. It wasn't that long ago. On the train, I look out the window, and I'm like, this is truly hell on earth. And the reason I bring that up is these areas in Western China that you don't see on the news.
Yeah.
It's not Shanghai. It's not even Beijing, right? It's these places that are unaccounted for, are hellscapes.
Yes, if you get out into those areas.
Yeah.
And, have you noticed that whenever there's a propagandist tour around China, they never go to these places. They only go to the flashy cities.
They don't go to the hellscapes.
You know what's very interesting, just anecdotally here? There's a shill that works for Chinese state media and does propaganda full-time, basically, for China. And he recently went on a propaganda trip around China. Went to Chongqing and all the usual propaganda places they go, Xinjiang, all that stuff. And in all the posts that he was putting out on Twitter and everything, he made one post where he's like, people are going to say that this is fake, but this is the deepest blue sky I've ever seen or whatever. And, and he showed this blue sky in Guangzhou.
Okay.
But he's been there for months.
Okay.
Doing trips around, and he only got one blue sky to show. Because everything he was posting had crap sky don't lie vibes going on. He couldn't even post when he was in Chongqing. The stuff he posted had horrible pollution. So he had to go and ask somebody to go out on a day when there wasn't pollution to film the same bridge he was on, not say anything, so that he could later post like, this is what the city looks like, type thing. It's crazy. But the fact that he had to make such a big deal out of this one blue sky shows you how bad it is in China. They keep saying it's improved. They keep saying it's getting better, but it isn't really.
Yes.
All right?
I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you think that guy had a little bit of shill broth?
Oh, he loves shill broth, dude. He rinses his hair with it to try and make it grow.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway. So let's see what's next.
I just want to finish a little bit of this article. All the sources, as always, are always linked below. Unlike some people who don't source anything they do, we source almost everything we do.
Yes.
By analyzing atmospheric observations in 9 cities across China from 2011 to 2021, they found that both gases exhibited an increase of 78% of emissions in China. By 2020, represented 64 to 66% of global emissions for tetrafluoromethane and hexafluoroethane. However, while the levels of fluorocarbon emissions are increasing at an alarming rate, CO2 still accounts for about 76% of total greenhouse gas emissions. Let's not forget China's CO2 output, that it's obsessed with telling everyone it has conquered or will conquer soon. I believe it when I see it then.
Yeah.
You can add the data that they use for these big puff pieces about how China is planning to do this stuff is always like they're adding so many wind turbines and so many solar panels and all this kind of stuff, ignoring the fact that a lot of things that happen in China are not hooked up, are done because of government money, stipends that they get from the central government.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that those things are working. You don't have some international body that's going and checking everything. Let's see your actual output of blah, 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 right?
Here's a news flash. Covering a mountain with solar panels is not good.
Yes. No.
Because you have to make those solar panels.
Yes.
And to produce them creates a lot of pollution. Then you have to hook them up.
Yeah.
And they become obsolete very easily.
That's what I was going to say. They're not sustainable forever, right?
No.
Especially these cheap ones that get done with government money just so they can get them out.
And as you said, how do you know that they're hooked up and working? How do you know they're even real? How do you know they have...
If you did some sort of like audit through the country, they will never let this happen because this is North Korea basically, right? It's not going to happen, but you would probably be shocked.
You also probably don't want to be putting solar panels covering where the freaking grass should be growing. And if nature gets destroyed because of all the extra heat generated and all the extra problems that it causes and blocking out the sun from the soil and everything. And then they break and have to be replaced. So there you go, create a whole bunch of new pollution just to make another stupid thing.
Truth is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, another thing we've been seeing lately is a lot of people talking about how China's semiconductor industry and their chip building is improving and becoming amazing because of Western sanctions. So here's a quick little trick that they like to pull. China has been stealing intellectual property for decades. We all know that. Okay?
Trillions of dollars.
Every single piece of Chinese technology is based on something else. They haven't invented anything yet. Not one thing. Nothing in the recent years. They're very good at making things, very good at improving on things and utilizing existing technologies, but they haven't made anything themselves. Do you think China invented electric cars? No. Did they invent computers? No. Did they invent electricity? No. Did they invent any... Other than the ancient technologies of the compass and the printing press and so on, there hasn't been a modern invention that's come out of China. No. Just saying that as a fact so people know. So what's been happening is they've been stealing all the IP as far as chips are concerned. They've been using foreign chip fabbing equipment. So they buy stuff from, the Netherlands, they buy stuff from wherever, and they use that technology. They license the chips, they buy chips from companies and so on. Now, the USA started to put sanctions against them so that they cannot get their hands on certain equipment, which they cannot manufacture themselves.
It's been devastating.
Yeah, and they cannot get a hold of certain chips, which they cannot manufacture themselves. So now they're in this really weird position where they've got this massive manufacturing powerhouse. They can pump anything out they want, but they cannot make the very important chips that they need to power these devices. They can make like low-level chips. That's easy enough, right? Anyone with a breadboard can make a, low-level chip. But China cannot do the high-end stuff. So this is how they've tried to combat it. They've been sending out propaganda and getting their shills to do it and stuff to say, if you don't give us your technology, we are going to then figure out how to do it ourselves, and we're going to get better than you, and we're not going to have to rely on you. In other words, please lift the sanctions. We don't know what we're doing. We can't do it ourselves. That's
see this with both Russia and China is like whenever you see propaganda, not just propaganda, but social media from shills, like their shill brigade, and you see this with Russia in particular, and then now China a lot.
Yeah.
You see this, if you say like the sanctions are backfiring, it's over.
Yes.
When they're incentivized to put out that content, you know that it's working, right?
If it wasn't an issue, if they really didn't have an issue with it, they wouldn't say anything. Yeah. They wouldn't be pulling the strings of those little puppets to go like, oh yeah, your sanctions suck because now we're more powerful. They wouldn't be saying that.
This is called barking loudly.
Yes, right. Barking loudly, exactly. Anyway, so this is just an article which I believe we've linked below as well.
Yes.
China's having to build a semiconductor industry from old machines, analysts said. And I'm still trying to figure out what Quilter Chevoy is. I guess it's a company he works for. Yeah, this is kind of a weird name. Anyway, let's move on from that. Next, we have a blank screen.
It's for a reason.
Oh, why? What is the reason?
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll be very happy to find out why.
Okay, please. I got to play?
You got to play it.
I'm playing it. Nothing's coming up. Badminton. Oh, that's why. Because this, guys, our Monday show, please check this out. Believe it or not, is incredibly popular in China.
It is. Why would we not believe that, though?
Because it's not popular anywhere else. Hunting camouflage, personal dress-up shorts, tactical training skirt for men's Scottish kilt.
Look at the photo they used.
What is this?
I just love that he's wearing a dress.
He's wearing a dress, and it looks like he's wearing like a bra.
I don't think we took that in. That is absolutely absurd.
Fidget spinner, knife, outdoor folding blade, stainless steel camping knife, military knives, but it's got a knuckle duster built in, so you can like punch someone, and then at the same time as you're punching them, sever your own artery or Well, yeah, that was a clip from our previous this last Monday's Shaban Ho. If you don't know what that is, it's our VIP show that we have every week. We'd love to see you there. If you have the means, of course, please head on over to patreon.com/ADV podcasts and join in the fun. It's always fun. We were talking about tactical Do you want to explain what tactical is?
So tactical items are like military items, like actual camo, Kevlar, that kind of stuff.
Stuff you can use in tactics.
Cool stuff is stuff that's made to look like that people that want to cosplay as a military person will buy. There's tactical everything we found.
Yes.
And almost all of it leads back to China because it's like cheap stuff, right?
Yeah,
Stuff
so
on
like tactical
AliExpress.
drinking straws.
Yeah,
and
that kind of stuff.
Absolute garbage. But it was super fun.
It was an amazing episode. Probably one of our best in recent memories. And if you join the patreon.com/ADV podcast, Xiaoban Ho tier, you get access to every other 100 episodes we've done so far and every one going forward. So you'll really love to be there. It's the best way to support us as well.
Exactly.
Yes.
So do you want to get stuck into this next little bit?
Yes.
All right. China's hiding a population secret, analyst claims.
So you remember the one-child policy?
I do remember, and it's disgusting.
Yes. So they were forcefully aborting babies. They were making people get rid of their, make sure they don't have kids in the future.
There's the reason why there's a gender imbalance in China
Yes, there's
is because
too many men.
if people found out they were having a girl, they would have an abortion because
That's
you're only
correct.
allowed one child.
That's right. But then they lift it and they go, crap, if we don't deal with this right now and we try to reverse this, we're done.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, now you're allowed to have 2 kids. And almost immediately after, it was like, okay, 3 kids. Okay, now you can have as many kids as you want.
Yes.
And now they're like, please have kids.
Because nobody wanted to. They're like,
Yes.
screw you. It's too expensive to raise a kid.
Now the government's been endorsing dating apps and stuff, trying to get people to reproduce. There's like incentivizing it.
And remember, we're saying that they're
Yes.
probably going to force people to have kids
We
soon.
think soon.
They'll be like, if you don't have children, you're going to get penalties and fines and stuff. I feel like that's coming. I feel like it's coming.
We have almost a 100% correct track record of predictions with the Chinese government. I'm going to say within 5 years, there will be something tantamount to forcing people to have kids.
They forced people to abort children. Why
Yes.
not force them to have them?
Why not, right? And the government is more authoritarian now than it was at that time.
Correct.
So, going forward, there's been some crazy things happening. The demographic collapse of China is something you've heard about. But now we actually have some data.
Yes.
And this is from Yi Fuxian, which is an obstetrician at the University of Wisconsin-Madison who conducts demography research. The consensus that China carries out every 10 years are seriously overestimated. In order to match official estimates, the annual data should be corrected with the census data. So this idea is that there could be 100 million people, basically, too many. It's inflated, so there's not that many.
Only
people in
100
China.
million? I thought it was 200.
It could be up to that, right?
Okay.
There's a range, right?
Yeah.
People are debating this. So the reason that this matters, and you can just play some of these quick.
Okay.
The reason this matters is that, number one, China's population is declining, right?
Right.
It will decline. In the future, that means your country is not going to be able to be relevant on the world stage. Japan is declining. South Korea is declining, but they became wealthy.
Yes.
They have social programs. They are already a country that can go through going forward because they've already achieved middle income, high income status.
Sure.
China hasn't even achieved middle income status. China is a poor country, can't take care of its people, doesn't have social programs, has no socialist benefits.
Not even basic food safety.
You guys love socialism out there? If you guys like socialist programs, you're gonna hate China. 'Cause China's got none of them.
nothing.
If you're an authoritarian libertarian, which doesn't make any sense, then you're gonna love China because China won't take care of you and they'll tell you what to do.
Exactly.
So if you look at the data from this estimate, right?
I just want to shill, bro.
I just want to shill.
Yeah, exactly.
Shill broth, dude.
Yeah.
It's a shill. I just want to shill. He's at the grill, but he's actually
yeah,
drinking
just want to shill, bro. And he's drinking the shill, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's like the moderate shill.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's so shill, bro. It's got like hammer and sickle. And
He's drinking a shill broth. Yeah, gross.
Anyway, if the reason that the population being too little isn't just like some like trivia night question.
Yes.
It's important. It's because when you have hundreds of millions of people deficit of reality, the government pitches this idea to foreign investors. It pitches how much aid it gets.
They say like, oh, we have 100 million mouths to feed, so then the foreign aid pumps more millions and billions of dollars into it. They say per capita, oh, we have a per capita like pollution of, it makes it little. But guess what? If you minus of 200 million people out of that per capita argument, suddenly becomes irrelevant.
The stats get screwed up.
Yes.
The aid figures get screwed up.
Yes.
The investment figures get screwed up.
Yeah, come to our market. We've got X amount of people that might buy your product.
Yes.
But guess what? What if like a huge chunk of that doesn't exist?
200 million of
Yes.
them.
It's
The
quite a few.
demography collapses.
Yes.
Every single metric, the CO2 output per person, every metric that you can think of. This is not a party trick like fact that you have off the top of your head. You know, China actually only has 1.2 billion people. Now it becomes very relevant.
Yes.
This stock price, everything is tied to how many people are in China.
Yes.
That's why, and this started to make a lot of sense to me. China was pushing back so hard with their foreign ministry when India overtook them in population.
Yes.
They started
Remember
having
they
a
said
hissy
quality
fit.
over quantity? Remember
Yeah.
that remark?
India
What?
surpasses China's population officially, right?
Yes.
And the foreign ministry goes out and says, oh yeah, well, you might have passed us, but it's quality over quantity, implying that Indian people are less quality than Chinese people. And they said that.
Yes.
In public.
Yes.
To
at a
the
news
world.
conference.
Yeah.
At like a foreign ministry conference. It's disgusting.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
But anyway, this has such big implications over just being like, wow, what a cool fact. This is
Yeah.
serious stuff.
Yes.
And it's well worth a read.
Yeah.
Huge. A
You
great,
got the link down in
I
the
do.
description?
It was a Newsweek article. It's fantastic.
Good.
Very, very interesting read. They had some future projections of what the demographics might look like. And I thought this one coming up next one is very interesting.
Okay.
Look at this graph here. It says by 2099. So remember, China's always looking for a long-term plan. Well, not really, because China's population, according to these estimates, by 2099 will be 642 million people, whereas the U.S. will be 420 million.
420.
Look at that. Closing the gap, dude. That's almost 1 billion people gone,
Yeah.
right? This is
insane.
serious decline we're looking at. Demographic collapse is real.
Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Moving on.
Yeah. Interesting. Who would have known that China's fudging the numbers?
Who would have known?
Who would have guessed?
And again, there's speculation.
And remember, no
about
one
all
died
this.
of COVID there
Oh,
the
yeah,
entire time.
according to China.
Yeah.
Right?
What do you got left over in this mix?
Just a little bit left in Worldview. Can rip through real quick.
Okay.
Last thing I wanted to cover here, just so you guys are on top of things. This is really interesting. So I love Pew Research. They basically go and find out what countries think, like what the
Okay.
people in the countries think. And it's especially useful when you're gauging opinions about China. Because if you ask Chinese government statistics bureaus, they're going to be like, everyone loves China.
Yes.
We love China.
Oh, dude. Oh, it's my favorite thing where they're like the shills. When I say shills, I'm just talking about CCP propagandists who they're tasked with flooding social media with pro-China garbage. And it's everywhere on Twitter, it's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, everything. They always put out the stat that over 90% of Chinese people approve of the Chinese government. And then they put out real stats from other countries like America where there are many people that don't approve of the government. And they'll be like, I don't know, 60% or 70% approval rating. They'll say, see, in China, 90% of the people approve of the government. How the hell do you find out? Do you go to a Chinese person on the street and you say, do you approve of the Chinese Communist
And they're
Party's
like-
rule?
They're like, no way.
Just imagine going to the average Chinese person.
Oh my gosh.
What are they going to do? Are they going to say no?
No.
If you
No,
say
they'll be
no,
like-
you'll be arrested.
I'm for the official statistic bureau or whatever. They'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, shit.
It's like, where's your ID card?
Yeah.
Before you, because you will not say you disapprove.
身份证给我.
Yeah, exactly. If you say publicly, because they will be like writing down notes and they will have a camera or they'll have a thing, a clipboard, and they're asking you this, you will not say you disapprove. If you say you disapprove, you're just inviting trouble.
It's like, OG Brick says, 420 says, that's like asking a North Korean. Of course they'll say yes.
You have to say yes.
The same as North Korea.
It will have repercussions on your family if you say no.
Why do people have this fantasy that China's like America but in Asia or something?
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna say yes.
Exactly.
I mean, no one's gonna say no. So
Yeah, they're just going to say, of course I love the
the great
government.
leadership of
Yes.
the Central Committee.
It's like, do you have any complaints about Xi Jinping? Yes or no? Yes or no?
do you
They're
have
like-
the time?
They'll be like, no. If you say yes, they'll be like, interesting. Take him away.
And there's a button.
Yeah, and he falls in the street. Yeah.
It's actually the
Yeah.
sinkhole opens up.
Oh, a sinkhole. That's why there's so many sinkholes in China.
You guys think
Yeah.
it's nature? No. That's
no.
a CCP design.
Yeah. Anyway,
Bullshit
let's
those.
carry on.
Yeah, just looking at this is sobering. So the U.S. is favored over China and dozens of countries, of course, right? Let's
Yeah.
have a look at this. I'd just like to see this. So in Poland, shout out to Poland, my Poles. If you are watching, you guys freaking rule. 86% approval rate for the U.S., 18% for China. And of course, this is based on the current leadership in China.
I like traditional dance, right? So what is a traditional Polish dance? A pole dance?
Oh,
I'm just,
You know you're not the first to make that shit.
Definitely not. That's so
I'm
lame.
sure you came up with it yourself.
Yeah, I came up with it myself, but it's lame. So
Shout out to my South Koreans and Israelis at 77% approval. Israel, you're getting a little dicey on the China approval there with 33%. Let's rein it in a little bit.
Sure.
Based on current leadership, this should be 0. 25% for South Korea. That's a healthy number. The U.S., 71% of us love ourselves.
yeah, it's good
That's
that you're
okay.
critical of yourself. I mean, that's what makes this country great.
16% approval rating of China. I see most Americans are at least educated enough to understand that China is probably not the system we should be pining after.
Sure.
You might not like what's currently going on in the U.S. or what will happen in the future, but you certainly don't want to look to China for the future.
Yes.
Japan with a beautiful 12% approval rating of China.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. You know what's interesting is if you go through these stats, the lowest on the list that I can see is Sweden.
Sweden. I just wanted to give you guys an absolute shout out. Killing it
Sure.
with the China approval rating. Not so healthy.
Australia. No wonder they stole all the baby infant formula from
Yeah,
them.
Australia's
So they're
like
like, "Gah!" Yeah, what do you
Australia's
do?
beating the U.S.
Yeah, it is.
Isn't that nuts? But shout out Sweden. Sweden flags in the. By the way, if you can put a Sweden flag emoji in the comments section, comments section, not the chat, the comments section.
Oh, right.
Pop one in the comments section. Shout out to Sweden because you
Yes.
made it this far in the episode. We're like almost 2 hours in.
Yeah.
You're the real ones. Pop
Yes.
a Sweden flag emoji down
Yeah,
there.
we'd love that in the comments, not in the live chat. Yeah, because that'll last forever. The live chat doesn't.
Yes. One thing I will ask though, Sweden, you got to bump up the U.S. approval rating. We're
Yeah.
bros.
I mean,
Coke-lect, dude.
here's the thing. Like me not being American, I like to ignore the America part of this.
I understand.
And it's like I love America. I think America's great. My approval rating of America is somewhere in the high 80s, low 90s. All right,
nice.
Personally.
I'm at about a 75.
And when it comes to China, my approval rating is pretty low.
Yeah.
Probably worse than Sweden.
I'm at probably a 20.
Somewhere there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough because when
There's
I'm
so much I love about China.
yeah, of course. But my approval rating is when I'm talking about the government, and the
government.
system of government.
My government approval rating is probably 5.
Yeah.
5%.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Mine is 4.
Okay, you want to you want to
'cause it's,
upstream me a little bit?
no.
Oh yeah. That's a lucky
mine's
number.
4. Whatever. But all this U.S. stuff aside,
Of course, I just want to
I'm looking at the
show-
China side.
I just want to show there's still
Yeah.
love out there for the U.S.
and Singapore has got the highest, and that's because like half the population's Chinese.
Yeah, that is true. But here's the deal: the Singaporeans that reach out, we have a huge Singapore viewer base, by the way.
Yeah,
And especially on Patreon. Fairly wealthy country. They can afford it, right?
yeah,
They shout out us all the time, and they're Chinese, blood.
Yeah.
Right, but Singapore citizens, and they're very much not in support of the Chinese government.
of course,
And
definitely
what they
not our
told me,
viewers.
what they told me,
Yeah.
I know, of course, but what they told me is that the older Chinese generation has fallen prey to Chinese language media in Singapore, which a lot of it is
not only there, but everywhere in the world.
Everywhere else.
It's weird phenomenon. You get diaspora. And I've spoken to Chinese friends here in the USA have the same problem.
Yep.
It's like their parents or grandparents fled China during the harsh, terrible, Tiananmen
Yes.
Square crackdowns, or
Yep.
just to even prior to that, during the whole the wars and everything. So they fled China when it was real bad. Okay. And they've always had a negative view of the way China
Yeah.
is. That's why they left
Yeah.
to leave a country. And I know because I did it with
Yeah.
my own country to get up and actually things are so bad that you're like, I don't want to live here anymore, and there's no future for me or my children here anymore.
Yeah.
To leave means it's real bad.
Yeah.
I feel exactly the way about South Africa. I will never go back.
No.
But they go overseas, they live there, they make a life for themselves, and then they start to see all this propaganda because now China's got money.
That's why I don't blame them.
Yeah. And they start to see, and then it gives you, I'm thinking, imagine, say, 20 years down the line, South Africa somehow turns around. This will never happen,
Sure,
but
right.
let's just
Let's
say
say it does.
let's say they get a lot of money. I don't know. They discover new diamonds and gold or something again, and then they make a lot of money, and they start putting out propaganda about how safe and amazing it is, and how they're leading in technology and stuff. I might go maybe time for me to go check out my ancestral home, or where I come from, or if it was my parents or something. You get that vibe about it's probably good now. But you don't know because you haven't lived there for so long, so you don't see the truth. And I think that's what's happening to these older diaspora people is they're feeling a bit nostalgic, a little homesick maybe. They start to see all this propaganda and they start to support the country again.
Yeah.
The country that they fled from.
Yep. And again, that's why I don't blame them, is
Yeah.
that the CCP's got such a stranglehold on public opinion media
Yeah.
that of course they're going to think it's good because the media says, no, it's not like the old days now. Everything's fine.
Every piece of media coming out of China is propaganda because it cannot be anything else.
No.
If it's not approved by the government, it cannot leave the borders of China.
Yes.
Simple.
On the how many people in high to middle income nations view Joe Biden and Xi Jinping, the highest approval rating was Poland for Joe Biden. The lowest approval rating was Poland, Sweden, and actually the king of the low opinions there was Japan. So shout out to Japan. If you're still watching this, maybe a Japan emoji in the comment section as well if you want.
Yeah, exactly. So Japan, well, obviously they don't like Xi Jinping.
Well, he's, the country's literally threatening Japan's sovereignty in their own area of the
All
world.
the time.
Yes.
All the time, yeah. Anyway, let's move on from this lovely stat
That's
dump.
good. I thought it was good.
What is this?
These are just middle-income countries to show that the U.S. still has high approval rating in middle-income countries, but China's moving up in those countries.
Oh, yeah.
So moving down in wealthy countries in approval, people in wealthy countries are saying China's bad, right?
Yeah.
Middle-income countries or struggling countries that are trying to come up are looking at China as almost like actually maybe not so bad.
They're looking
right?
at them as a savior,
Because
like a
they have-
colonial savior.
Yeah, they have like a stranglehold in those countries with Belt and Road initiatives
Yeah.
and things like that,
Yeah.
right? So they're able to morph public opinion.
Correct.
Anyway,
Wonderful.
time for Q&A.
Time for Yamcha, everybody. This is our questions and answer segment. This is where we answer your questions and you question our answers. It stays up on the weekend. It's here live, but we get rid of it on Monday. So if we don't see, if you're watching this on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, or even Friday or Saturday or Sunday in the following week, we bid you adieu. Stay awesome. And let's get stuck in. Time to loosen the tie. What do we
Yes.
got?